What's a good filter?
Hmm. Uh,
Ooh.
that one's not bad. There you go. I'm just kidding. Do There was like one that was second to last.
Oh, this is fun.
Oh, cute. You don't even need decorations. Do you like my tree?
Oh, wait, hold on, let me get out of this so I can see. Oh, that it's cute. I
It
love
has
that tree.
it has all my ornaments I've made on it.
That's cute.
Yeah, it's fun.
I love it. So how many different how many different designs do you have for ornaments so far? Because I feel like you've done a ton.
Like 10,
Oh, really? That's it?
but I don't have it's hard because I don't really have a lot of them on sale, right? Like I don't have them posted anywhere right now,
Ah, I see.
which I should have done, but I have been busy doing the hear him ones, the
Hmm.
manger ones.
Are those the most popular?
Yeah,
Yeah.
hundreds of them.
Hundreds.
Yeah.
Dang, for all for one person?
I think the most I've had this season is 135 for one person, but they usually range from like 50 to 100.
That's crazy.
Yeah,
Are you gonna raise your prices, do you think?
I did. I
Oh, you
mean,
did?
not by a whole lot. So last year I did, they were 130 each.
Mm-hmm.
And then this year I put them up to 170 because I last year I didn't realize how much time I spent like tying the twine on the things and
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
packaging and stuff. So, yeah.
Dang.
Mm-hmm.
Well, good for you, you little businesswoman.
I know.
You've
Uh,
accomplished so much this year so far. Good for
Not
you.
honestly, like I'm not as busy as I was last year.
Mm.
Like
Well, you had
last
like
year.
a whole booth last
Well,
year.
and so the booth I did last year, it was like $300 for the booth,
Mm-hmm.
and total I made 500. So like my profit was only maybe $100.
And you're
Like
like,
if
do you know how bad I stressed over this?
I know, and I was like, this isn't worth it. So I didn't end up doing any events this year because I was
Mm.
like, it's not worth it if no one's gonna go.
Yeah.
So I'm thinking next year I'll do not like I wanted to do a fall one like in September,
Yeah.
but this year I had like the bachelorette trip
Yeah.
and then I had the wedding and all this stuff and like bridal shower stuff. So like I just didn't have the capacity to do that this year. So
Yeah.
next year I think I'm gonna have the time to not only prepare for it but to actually like do it. And
Mm-hmm.
that way if I do it in September I have all the fall stuff, all the Christmas
Yes.
stuff, all the
Yep.
winter stuff, and it's all there.
Yep.
And that's where I think people make money. Once you get closer to Christmas, people are already like on to the next thing. It's so
Mm-hmm.
crazy. Like makers right now are already working on Valentine's Day.
Yeah. I
It's so
well,
crazy.
they probably just follow what Hobby Lobby's doing.
Right?
You
Hobby
know?
Lobby's like, it's not even Christmas yet, but let's take it all down, you
Yeah,
know.
exactly. Yep.
But yeah,
Well, welcome
my life.
everybody to episode 34.
Welcome, welcome.
This is Haunt and Cold Podcast. I'm Katie,
And I'm April.
and we're sisters.
Don't you
And
know?
yeah, that's it. That's all.
That's all you need to know.
But yeah, thank you so much for listening. If this is your first time, uh,
Announcement.
um, oh yeah,
We have a new Patreon member,
yes,
Riley. Thank you so much for joining our Patreon.
yeah, that was so, like we've said, like it's so exciting seeing that little notification pop up of like, hey, you have a new patron. It's like, shut the front door.
I know. I always like panic a little. Like my little heart just like flutters a little because I'm like, oh my gosh, what?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Hopefully people think it's worth it.
Hopefully.
Yeah.
And I'm sure he's getting his welcome package soon.
Yes, he should
So
by the time this
release.
release. Yep.
Yeah. Cool. Well, Merry Christmas. Merry Christmas to him and to us and to all you.
Yeah.
Yeah, how is your Christmas going? Your Christmas season so far? We're
Um,
7 days into December, but
yeah,
or a weekend.
I haven't done anything Christmassy other than decorate my house.
Okay, yeah.
Uh, I usually like to go see like Christmas lights at
Mm-hmm.
downtown Salt Lake.
Have you
Um,
done that yet?
no.
Oh,
And we recently, in the last few years, as much as we hate on Ogden, but Ogden has a cute Christmas village.
does it?
Yeah, and they have a little train and like little mini houses that like different companies like sponsor and put up like scenes in these
Hmm.
little mini houses and it's pretty cute.
Yeah.
And it has like they have like stands for hot chocolate and all this stuff. So it's cute. I really like it, but it's in Ogden, so where
It's an often.
I don't get there very often, but it's a really cute thing.
Huh.
And then I've always wanted to go to Gardner Village for Christmas, and I've never done it.
Really? Never?
No,
Oh,
I've
I've
also
done
never
that.
done the Polar Express on the Huber
Oh, that
thing.
seems fun.
That would be
That
so fun.
so fun. You know what I wanted to do again this year, which I probably just won't, is the Festival of Trees.
I haven't done that in a long time.
Same.
They had a tree for Rand.
Did they?
Yeah, they did a tree for Coach Rand from Bingham.
Oh,
I
that's
know.
sweet.
Yeah,
That's sweet.
I love it. But yeah, I mean, we're gonna have our Christmas party with the fam.
hmm
That's gonna
Santa
be
will
fun.
be there.
Yeah, can't wait for
Yep.
that.
Yep. hmm
That's about it.
That's about it.
Not sure I'll get much. I haven't even got lights on my house. Like,
You know,
that is
this
so
year we didn't.
uncharacteristic of me.
Yeah, same. We have not put any lights out.
Nope.
And I'm like, why haven't I? But I'm like, I just feel like it got so cold so fast, you know?
Are
Like I
you
don't want
like
to get
not
out
in the
there.
Christmas spirit, or are you like just
I
not
don't
interested
know.
in going outside?
I just am not interested in going outside. Like it just
Okay.
seems too cold for survival, you
It's
know?
well, it's way colder where you are, but it's like
Yeah.
right now it's a winter wonderland all of a sudden, like within
Yeah.
the last couple hours.
Uh-huh.
It started snowing and it's
Mm,
beautiful, but I hate it.
yeah. I couldn't make it into my neighborhood. Well,
Oh
that's why
yeah.
we were late recording, is because we were trying to drive home, but like we live kind of up on a hill-ish area. So like no matter what route you get to our houses, it's uphill.
Mhm.
And it started to snow quite a bit. And plows don't go through our neighborhood, at least not in the first few hours.
Mm.
So, and I don't have good tires either. And so we're trying
Oh
to get up
no.
these different hills and we just had to keep like backing out and trying a different way. It took us 30 minutes to figure out a good route to get home because we kept getting stuck in the snow.
Oh my gosh, that's so annoying. Freaking
Yeah,
cars.
I think I just need to get new tires because other cars were just fine. So,
Yeah,
yeah,
dang, your stupid car.
I know. That's the thing too. It's just like I don't have any more money for this car.
I know. Oh, that sucks so bad.
Yeah. Anyway,
Well,
that's all. That's all for me.
listen, I've got quite the story. Like
Yeah, you've been
it's
texting me
it's
about
gonna
how.
be a long one.
Mhm.
So you're gonna have to buckle up and just get comfortable, man,
Oh,
because
I'm comfy.
it's long and it's good. Okay.
It's long and it's strong and it's about to get its friction on.
Yeah. Um, that's funny.
Anyway.
So my friend Whitney called me the other day and she's like, "Did you know about this?" And I was like, "No." And she's like, "Okay, you have to do it on your podcast."
Ooh.
So,
And she listens?
yes.
Okay.
I don't know. I mean, maybe. I don't know.
Maybe.
But yeah, so she's
Cool.
like, you got to do this story. And so I instantly started looking it up and I was like, oh my gosh.
Oh, I'm
And
excited to hear it.
I got sucked in. Okay.
Wow, this is gonna be crazy. Okay,
Yeah.
everybody, get cozy.
Get
If you're
comfortable.
like me, you have no idea what's about to happen. Go.
You might because they've seen the title of the podcast.
Oh,
So
that's true. Well, if you haven't, if you like surprises, then you haven't. And this is about to blow your mind.
it's gonna blow your mind right out of your skull. Okay.
Okay, I'm ready
Okay.
for it. I'm here for it.
Okay, let me take a drink of water.
Okay.
Okay. Ready.
Wait, pause. I like that your bun tie matches your shirt.
I know. You know what
That's
this
cute.
is? This
What?
is a Cooper's handkerchief thing.
Is it?
And I
Huh.
have repurposed it for myself.
I like it.
Cooper
It's
has a
cute.
sweater. Did I show you the picture of his sweater?
Yeah, you showed it to me.
Yeah, showed
Yeah. You
you.
showed you.
um yeah, so I stole it because it looks
It's
cute.
cute.
So
Yep.
it
I dig.
it's here for the party. Okay.
It works. It's so fetch.
So, that's not even a thing. Stop trying to make it a thing. Okay. Oh, sorry. Okay,
Okay.
ready
I'm cozied and I'm ready.
to go.
Go.
Okay.
Yep.
Friday, September 20th, 1991. A nervous Cindy Tovey arrived at Alta View Hospital with her mom and her sister, ready to give birth to her first baby. She was excited to find out what she was having, a boy or a girl. She wanted it to be a surprise. She had to have a C-section, but she did get to give birth to a beautiful baby girl she named Chelsea. In another room, another expectant mom, Jay Louder, had also given birth. She thought she was having a baby girl, but to her surprise, she had a baby boy that she named Brian.
Okay.
In the in the next room, next to Jay's room, there was a nurse, a delivery nurse named Margie. She was a mother of 11. Uh, she was helping another laboring mother who was only 19 years old. Her name was Kristen. Kristen was accompanied by her boyfriend, Adam, and her sister, Carrie. She was thrilled that her first baby was going to be a baby girl. Kristen had her epidural taken care of, and she was about ready to meet her new baby. The maternity ward had a few nurses on staff to care for the moms and babies, as well as a charge nurse who kind of kept everything running smoothly.
Mm-hmm.
Um, Carla Roth was one of the nurses, and this was her first week on the job as a nurse at Alta View Maternity Ward.
Okay.
By,
Alta View. Isn't that where we were born?
I think so.
We were born at that hospital.
Yeah.
1991. Heather was born that year. Our sister.
I wonder.
Was she
Sorry.
switched?
I
Just kidding.
wonder. Yeah.
I don't know where the story's gonna go, but
You won't even see it coming. Okay. Okay. By around 11 p.m., the newborns were in the nursery so the new moms could get some rest. The 19-year-old mom, Kristen, yeah, she was still in labor. She was getting close, so the charge nurse on duty called Dr. Glade Curtis to let him know he was needed for delivery. Dr. Curtis was headed to the hospital. He parked in his marked parking space, unknowing that there was someone in the parking lot watching him arrive.
oh my gosh.
He used his key to enter the hospital. He walked into the sorry. He walked into the maternity ward and saw the whiteboard on the wall showing which room each patient, like,
Yeah.
the board that says the names and what room they're in and what
The
doctor
who's,
they're
the
assigned
what's, the
to.
where's, and the
Yeah.
why's.
Yeah, the chaos that only the nurses know. What
Yeah.
makes sense? Okay.
Yep. I follow.
Um, okay. So he went to check on his patient and introduce himself to Kristen. And Nurse Margie said that she wasn't quite ready for delivery yet, so she would call for him when he was needed.
Mm-hmm.
That's when Cindy, the new mom to baby Chelsea, right?
Mm-hmm.
She was about to fall asleep. She heard a large crash and a scream in the patient room next to her. That's when Richard Worthington, a 39-year-old LDS father of 8, threw a brick into the back window of a maternity ward into one of the
What?
patient's rooms.
Ugh.
Yeah.
What
Sorry.
is he thinking? First of
Just
all,
wait.
it hit a baby.
I know, but just wait.
Okay.
The woman in that room began screaming as someone was shattering the glass of her room's window. The secretary immediately ran to the emergency room area and called 911. A nurse runs to see what the screaming is about, and she sees the mother of that room get out of the room, and behind her was a man with a handgun and a shotgun yelling, "Where's Dr. Curtis? Where's Curtis?"
Oh shit.
Yeah,
Where is Dr. Curtis?
I'll tell you.
Okay.
Okay, so Jay, the mom to baby Brian, right? So
Uh-huh.
there's, yeah,
Baby Chelsea, baby Brian, and
yep,
baby not yet not yet baby.
yeah. So Jay, Brian's
Yeah.
mom, thought this man yelling on the other side of her door must have been just a husband of one of the other moms losing it and just like they're fighting or something. So she decided to ignore it. She was like, not
Not
my
my
problem.
problem.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I don't need to be a part of this. Cindy, the mom of baby Chelsea,
Hmm.
saw shadows from under her door. You know how you can see like light peeking through? She could see people walking like a from outside the door. And she could tell that someone was out there, but she was
Yeah.
paralyzed with fear. She couldn't reach her room's phone from where she was laying in bed because she was still mostly paralyzed from her epidural.
Oh my gosh.
So she,
So vulnerable.
I know, so she couldn't reach far enough to get the freaking phone. So
Yeah.
she's like, what the hell do I do? So she tries anything. She's like, how can I call somebody? So she gets the remote for her bed and pushes the nurse button. And of course, nobody comes
They're
because the
like, yeah, we
nurses,
need help too.
yeah, they're like, what are we supposed to do?
Oh
So
no.
she's like pushing this nurse button and no one's coming.
Yeah.
But she could hear this man yelling for Dr. Curtis. Okay.
That's
Sorry.
so scary.
In the room of Kristen, the one that's still in labor, Nurse Margie heard the commotion and decided to check it out. She said, quote, the intensity of the anger was palpable. It was so strong. So she picked up the phone in the room and asked for security, but the phone operator said, I know, get off the phone. They're like, we need the
Okay.
lines open. Just like stop calling us.
Got it.
Because like a bunch of people,
Understood.
yeah, a bunch of people are calling them saying we need security, and they're like, yeah, we know, stop calling us. Right, we're working on it. So
Oh
all of a
my gosh,
sudden, a
how
gunshot
scary.
goes off.
Oh yeah, because
Okay,
okay.
he shoots the gun, and the moms in their rooms were terrified. The shot
Yeah.
was just outside of Jay's door, and she's worried because she sent baby Brian to the nursery. So
Oh
she's
my
like,
gosh.
yeah, so she's like, where's my baby? Right? So she's like panicking. She doesn't want to open the door because what if he kills her?
Yeah.
So she just falls to her knees and she starts praying. She says, not only for her safety, but for the others in the maternity ward as well.
Mm.
Cindy finally reached her room's phone and she called her parents and she
Mm-hmm.
told them, sorry, she told them that she heard a gunshot. And her mom was like, oh, sweetie, you're fine. It's just the
It's
medication.
fireworks.
Yeah, she's
Yeah.
like, you're just high. It's fine. And Cindy was like, no, it's real. Someone shot a gun. And she's like, I'm so scared. And her mom was like, I'll send your dad. Like, don't worry. And
Mhm.
she's like, I'll stay on the phone with you until your dad gets there. And so she sat in the room on the phone with her mom, trying to make sense of what was happening in the hallway. 'Cause she's like, I
Mhm.
can only hear muffled, like talking and yelling.
Yeah.
Um, when the guy gets really loud and says, like, where's Dr. Curtis? She understands that, but she doesn't hear much else, right?
Right.
Um, so when her father got there, the police refused to let him into the hospital because at this point, police are starting to come assess the
Like shut it down.
situation and like, block off anyone going inside.
Yeah.
So they wouldn't let him go in because they're like, no, like now's not the time for you
Yeah,
to
there's
rush
an
in there.
active shooter.
Right. So he said, but my daughter's in there. And they told him they couldn't allow him inside. They tell him to go home and just keep her on the phone.
Mm.
So um he's like, okay. So he goes home and he's like just talking to his daughter this entire time that she's in this place, right?
Yeah.
So Richard, the man with the gun, angrily yelling through the halls searching for Dr. Curtis, comes to Nurse Carla Roth and demands to know where Curtis is. And he says, Carla says, I don't know who Dr. Curtis is because it's her first time on the job. Like her first
Mm.
week, she doesn't know everybody yet. And she's
Yeah.
like, I don't know who that is. And he's like, you're lying to me. And she's like, no, I swear I don't know who he is. Right.
Yeah.
And he's like, I just saw him come in here. I know he works here. He just came in. So, like, you're lying to me. And she's like panicking.
Oh my
So,
gosh.
the charge nurse, Susan, was like, it's her first week, but she doesn't know Dr. Curtis, but Dr. Curtis had already left because
Mm.
she sees Dr. Curtis in the hallway coming
Oh.
towards them. Because Curtis, at this point, he was in the doctor's lounge and he walked out and he heard the guy yelling and saying he's going to kill Dr. Curtis.
Oh.
And he was like, I don't, um, and at this time, Dr. Curtis didn't know who this guy was that was like
Yeah.
having this rampage,
No.
right? So
Yeah.
he was walking towards them, but he was walking towards the nurse station, but the guy, like to Richard's back. So the
Hmm.
nurses were facing where Dr. Curtis was walking.
Yeah,
And
that makes
on
sense.
Susan's face, she's like telling him to get out of here, right?
Yeah.
And as she's saying, Dr. Curtis isn't here, Dr. Curtis left. And
Yeah.
so um Dr. Curtis went into one of the empty patient rooms
Yeah.
and he used the room phone to call 911 and he lets the 30s know what's happening. Obviously, they already know what's happening, but they're like, yeah, we're sending police out there. Don't worry, we're like gonna figure it out. So once he hangs up with 911, he calls his wife to let her know what's happening because he doesn't know where this is going to go. He doesn't
Yeah.
know if this guy's going to find him because his whole
Yeah.
mission is to find Dr. Curtis. And
He's
so,
the target.
yeah, so he's like, I don't know where this is going to end. So he calls his wife.
Ah,
Okay.
so scary. This
I
is
know.
intense.
I know. There's so much. Okay.
My gosh.
Okay. I need more water.
Yeah,
I'm so sorry. There's so much coughing.
that's okay.
It's the season for it.
Hmm.
Um, okay. Um, okay, where am I? Okay. So Richard then bursts into the room where the laboring mom, Kristen, and Nurse Margie are, right?
Hmm.
And Kristen's boyfriend and sister are in there.
Okay.
And he starts yelling, it's all his fault that I can't have another child. I'm going to kill him. Right. And
Wow.
so while waiting, and he's like flailing his guns around, and she tells him, Nurse Margie, she's a badass, right? Well, all these
Yeah.
nurses are, but like she just takes charge. And she's like, Dr. Curtis left because I told him I didn't need him yet. So she's like, at that point on the 2020 episode, she's like, I shouldn't have said that because then he knew that Dr. Curtis could come back for delivery,
Right. But I mean, like,
right?
what do you say? Because you don't want to
Yeah,
totally lie, but you don't want to tell the full truth either.
right.
So, I mean, she did her
Right.
best.
Mm-hmm. It was just the, first thing that came to her. So
Yeah.
then he leaves the room, and Margie tells her patient that she's like, it's going to be okay. I'm going to take care of this. She picks up the room phone and calls for security. They're like, we know. And then she's like, I don't need security. I need like the real police. Because what's the security gonna do?
Like I need
So,
advice. Like what do I do? What do I do? You
right.
know?
So she ends up calling 911. And again, they're like, okay, we're on it. We're sending people.
How much time has gone by? Do you know?
um, at this point, I'm not sure. I
Okay.
think by this point it's only been like we're early into it, so it's probably been like 20 minutes.
Okay.
All this has happened.
So the police are probably there, just
They're
not.
coming and then assessing what's happening, because like
I
all
see.
they know right now is that it's in the maternity ward and that there's been one gunshot happened so
I
far.
see.
Has a hat. He's wearing a hat that she recognizes. It's a hat,
Hmm.
or it's a gift that the nurses give to dads when their babies are delivered. And it usually
Oh,
says like it's a boy or it's a girl on it. And
yeah.
this one said it's a boy on the front. And so she's like,
Okay.
this is a previous dad then. Because
Yeah.
otherwise he wouldn't have this hat. But that's
Yeah.
what she recognizes. It sticks in her brain.
Yeah.
Okay.
But she's trying to figure out like what led up to
Yeah,
this.
what the heck is going on?
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
sorry. So the survivors would later find out that this man, his name is Richard Worthington, and his wife had given birth to their eighth living child, 10 total. So she's had two that didn't make it. 2 years previously was when she had her last child there.
Okay.
So he's targeting Dr. Curtis because he's the doctor that performed a tubal ligation
Mm-hmm.
on his wife 2 years before. So his wife Karen decided and basically demanded that she wanted to have her tubes tied,
Yeah.
making that her last baby, because her
Yeah.
last pregnancy was super difficult. She's lost two babies so far, and she made
She,
that choice.
yeah.
She decided this is my last one.
Okay.
And
That's fair.
yep. And she communicated that with her doctor.
Mm-hmm.
And she also told Richard that that's what she wanted. And he was not okay with it. He wasn't happy with it. And he thought that they fought when this was happening. So they
Yeah.
like
It
it
wasn't
like
as simple as she told him. It was more like she let him know and then,
and he was like, no, that's not what we're doing.
yeah.
Like they have 8 kids. Like, I'm
Yeah.
sorry, but they don't need any more if they don't
I
want
know.
it, right? Like they
Right.
have a full house. Um,
Right.
so she's, taking control of her own body and was like, no, I don't want any more because this has been really hard on me. And he's
Mhm.
like, no, I don't agree with this. I am the patriarch of the home and I get to decide, blah, blah, blah. I know, gag.
Yuck.
So um basically the doctor was like, you guys got to figure this out. But when it came down to it, she signed the papers. She was ready for it to happen, and it happened.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
So Richard
Fair.
believed that he had one more baby in heaven waiting to be born, and this doctor had ruined that for him.
Oh
He had a
no.
dream that he had a baby girl waiting for him in heaven. So he
Then
decided,
wait till you get there.
or
You're gonna be there forever anyway.
right. Oh my gosh. Anyway, so
Uh,
um so now current currently in the hospital at this
yeah,
time.
right.
The nurses are telling Richard that Dr. Curtis had left, and he's now yelling that he's going to kill everyone in the maternity ward, starting with the newborns.
No.
Yeah. Okay. He's like, no one is leaving alive. So he
No.
ordered Carla and another nurse, Susan. She's the charge nurse. So there's Nurse Carla and charge nurse Susan. They
Yeah.
go, he leads them in front of him, and they're gonna go outside to his car where he has a box of dynamite in his car that he's gonna blow up this hospital. He's decided.
How
So
does he think he's going to get out to the car without the police?
they haven't they're well, that's a whole thing.
Okay.
So he comes out to his car, and um as they're walking, I think he actually gets something out of his car, because there's another part of this where anyway, I'll tell you. So he gets the
Yeah.
dynamite box out of his car.
Yeah.
And then as they're doing that, he has you know what? No, I don't think he's got. Anyway, ignore me. I don't think he got
You're
all the way
good.
to the car, because as they're walking towards the car, he has the shotgun in one hand and a revolver in the other hand, right? So
Yeah.
Carla is like, didn't realize there were two guns. So she tries to grab the shotgun from him and run. And so he shoots her
Oh no.
and she dies.
Oh
Yeah. So
no.
Susan is like, oh my gosh, Carla, this is her first
Yeah.
week on the job. And Susan's like, oh my gosh. So she goes to like kneel down and take care of her. But Richard grabs Susan and they back into the hospital again and
Oh
leave
shit.
Carla out there. Yeah.
Wow.
Okay.
Okay.
I like poor Carla. Oh my
Wow.
gosh. Okay.
Oh, she tried.
I know. So,
And
uh,
that's probably why he had to, in case somebody tried to grab one.
yeah. Well, I think he was there. So, okay. So, and I might be skipping a part because this might be somewhere else, but when they're outside, the police are there and they have their guns out and they're pointed at him, but none of them take the
Oh.
shot.
Hmm.
None of them took the shot. And like, I know that the police are probably like, I wish I would have, like in hindsight, that they didn't take the
I mean,
opportunity.
and it could have happened so
Yeah,
fast
I
that
mean,
they
this
didn't
could be
know.
happening in split seconds.
Yeah. Yeah.
And they might not have had a perfectly clear shot, nervous that they would have hit the other nurse or something. So yeah.
Like he was probably using them like I imagine he was using them as like shields.
Hmm. Right.
So,
So,
oh boy.
okay. So while Richard and the nurses are outside, Dr. Curtis is still in the empty patient room where he called his wife, right? And he's
Yeah.
concerned for the baby still in the nursery.
Yeah, because he's
So,
like, it's me or them right now.
right. So he doesn't want to make any noise. So he takes off his shoes so that when he's walking, he can be as quietly as possible. So he's barefoot and he
Yeah.
walks into the nursery. And in the nursery, he finds one nurse and she's terrified. She's just like
Yeah.
wide eyed and scared.
Stunned.
And he
Yeah.
says, we need to get these babies out of here. Right. So there were about 5 or 6 babies in bassinet carts, which they
Just
were
roll
able
them
to
out.
take. Yeah, they were able to take only a couple at a time safely. Um,
Oh,
because they can each hold or like push one at a time or two at a time.
man, I feel like I just would have stacked them.
Right? Like put two in one bassinet. Suddenly Richard returns with Susan and has a gun pointed at the back of her head. And she is forced to grab two of the babies in bassinet carts. He doesn't see Dr. Curtis, right? So there were two babies in bassinet carts already outside um before this all happened. So like in transition. So
Yeah.
so they've just been out there during this whole thing. Um, so Susan is forced to grab these two babies in their bassinets and push them into the laboring mom's room. And where in this labor and delivery room, they now have two newborn babies without their moms. They
Right.
have, and one of them is Brian. One of them is baby Brian.
Okay.
The other one, I don't know. Anyways,
Okay.
so they have two newborn babies. They have Nurse Margie, Nurse
Mm-hmm.
Susan,
Yeah.
boyfriend Adam, uh,
The mom.
laboring mom Kristen,
Mm-hmm.
sister Carrie. Yeah, that's it. They have 7
Yeah.
hostages now in this labor and delivery room. Okay.
Right. Right.
Okay. So when they get into this room, Susan tells Margie he killed Carla, and he
Yeah.
responded by yelling, "Shut up," and shot the window in the labor room. Yeah.
Whoa.
And they could see the police surrounding the hospital through the window at this point. So now everyone can see that police are there,
And
right?
now they can see in too at that
Yeah,
point, right?
right.
Because
Mm-hmm. Well, it's on the
okay.
second floor. So
Oh,
I believe it's the second floor. It was kind of mixed. I think it's the second floor. Okay.
yeah. Okay.
So at this point, um, oh, hold on. So he shoots the window.
Yep.
Where did I go? Okay. He shoots the window and he yells at Margie and puts a gun in her face. And he says, "I'm going to shoot you or Susan. Which one of you is first?"
Oh my
And
gosh.
paralyzed with fear, neither of them obviously said anything, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
So then Dr. Curtis, we're going back to Dr. Curtis. We're going to leave you on a cliffhanger for a second.
Oh my
And
gosh. Okay.
Dr. Curtis goes to walk the bridge that links the maternity ward to the rest of the hospital. So like there's the hospital and then those walking bridges that go over like parking areas and then it
Uh-huh.
goes to another hospital. So he goes
Yeah.
over the
Like a
the
skywalk thing.
yeah, he walks along there and he runs into two Sandy police officers and tells them, "I know where Richard is. I can take you to him." And they're like, "Nope, you can't go back in." And they take him out of the hospital and over to where the police are, right? So
Yeah.
sorry.
With the babies, right?
Um he didn't have babies at the time because he got separated from the nurse he was helping in the nursery. I'm so sorry. Anyway, so he got separated from her, so I think she was able to get some babies out by herself. And
Oh.
and Dr. Curtis got stuck in the nursery when Richard came back from shooting Carla outside.
Oh,
Does that
I
make sense?
see.
So then he
Yeah.
went out, found an opportunity when they went into that labor and delivery room. He's like, "Okay, I'm gonna go and get the police because I know what room they're in." But they
Yeah.
were like, "Nope, we're
Yeah.
not letting you back in there." So,
Dang. Wow.
oh my gosh, it's crazy. I can't believe this happened. It's like freaking me out. Okay,
Yeah.
so the police still don't know who the man is. So they're not sure. And
Hmm.
families, they don't know. Let's see. And okay, so police don't know who the man is. And the SWAT team had never dealt with anything like this before, at such a
Hmm.
large scale, right? With so many hostages. So they didn't want to believe that he would hurt the babies like he was threatening, but they're like, well, he shot a nurse, so maybe he would, right?
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
in the room, Richard had Margie at gunpoint and and was like, he's like kind of sporadic. So he was like, "I'm gonna shoot you guys. Who goes first?" And now he's
Yeah.
saying to Margie, "Get on the phone and call my wife." And she's like, "Okay, who's your wife?" And he's like, "Her name's Karen. Call her." And so she calls Karen, his wife, and
Hmm.
Karen answers the phone, and
Hmm.
Margie says, "Karen, this is Margie." Oh, this is quote. Okay, quote. "Karen, this is
Hmm.
Margie, and I'm at Alta View Hospital. Your husband Rick is holding us at gunpoint." And Karen responds saying, quote, "I'm so sorry. What can I do?" And Margie's thinking, "I don't know. I don't know what's happening. I'm just here to do what he says." And then Karen adds, quote,
Yeah.
"I knew he was going up there 45 minutes ago. I should have called the police." Yeah.
Well, no fucking shit,
Yeah.
Karen.
We don't like this, Karen,
The
but
one time you're supposed to call police.
yeah, when you know your husband's headed to the hospital to kill people, you'd think you'd say something, right? Okay.
Yeah.
So
Because why else would he go to the hospital 2 years after you guys were last there?
Right. Well, that's coming.
You know,
I'll
like if he
I'll
didn't have like,
I know.
okay,
I will explain, but for now, we'll move
okay,
on. So he told Margie to
okay,
tell Karen to come to the hospital. So Margie tells her, and Karen's like, okay, I'm going to come and I'm going to bring our bishop with me. And that freaks Richard out. He's
Bishop,
like, yep, he brings their
not the
bishop.
bishop.
No. Because I mean, it's just a cure all, I guess. And so Richard's like, no, don't do that. And he fires another random shot. Doesn't kill anybody, it's just a random shot. But in the other room, Jay could hear the voices talking. She's right next to the labor and delivery room, but she's like her lights are off, so he doesn't know she's there, right? And so
Yeah,
she can hear through the walls what's happening in the other room, and her baby's in that room. So her
yeah,
baby Brian is in that room, and she can
yeah.
hear him crying. And then when he fires that random shot, baby Brian stops crying.
Oh no.
And
Although, how
so
did she know that it was her baby?
uh,
You know?
she she said that she could tell. I
Okay.
don't I mean,
Yeah.
like my kids' cries were pretty distinctive to me. Like I could tell it was my kid over another kid.
Yeah.
I don't know.
I don't know. I feel like as a newborn baby, I feel like they all sound the same.
Some of them, yeah, I mean, I guess they kind of do, but I don't know. For some reason, she knew her baby
Okay.
was in there. Okay,
Intuition. Fair
so
enough.
her baby stops crying as this gunshot goes off,
Yeah.
and so she's like, "My baby was just killed.
Yeah.
My
That's,
baby was
yeah.
just shot." And so
Because why
she,
else would they stop crying after a
right,
gunshot?
yeah, so she
Oh
falls
my gosh.
apart, and she's just like, "What is going on? My baby is dead." All this stuff. Okay, so she's in this
Yeah.
room alone and feels like her baby's dead.
Alone and in the dark.
Yeah. So all she could hear was Richard yelling, and he was like, I'm going to go room to room and start shooting moms and babies. And she just kept thinking, you already killed my son. Like,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
So luckily, he did not shoot baby Brian. I don't know why he stopped crying. Maybe it was soothing to him. I don't know. But he ended up just shooting the phone on the delivery bed. So, like, he didn't hurt anybody, but he shot the phone that Margie was just using.
So he's just like shooting rounds all over the place.
Yeah, he's just like,
Gun slinging.
yeah, he's just, whoops, whoops. But as this is happening, the other patients in other parts of the hospital were being evacuated and moved to Cottonwood Hospital, um, as the Alta View Hospital was surrounded by police, right? So Dr. Curtis,
Yeah.
he when he got outside, so he was pulled outside, um, and they wouldn't let him go back in. And he asked who had been
Right.
killed. And authorities told him it
Yeah.
was Carla Roth, who he didn't know very well because she was her first week, right? So they allowed him to go and see her because he was like, I felt like it seemed like he just wanted to make peace and just like say, I'm sorry that this happened to you, type of thing. So her body
Mm-hmm.
was at the emergency room,
Yeah.
and so he was able to go and see her body, and he said that he spent a few moments in there silently and just like felt overwhelmed and distraught with her condition and what happened. And
What?
like,
Yeah.
I mean, as the doctor, I bet he felt responsible, even, and he was there to kill
Mm-hmm.
him, you know? So like,
Yeah.
yeah.
Like he was the intended target and she was the collateral damage.
Right. Yeah. Um so at this time, Richard was getting more
That's
intense.
so
He
sad.
tells Kristen's boyfriend Adam to go and get the black box right outside the building doors. So this is why I think he might have made it to his car, because the black box right outside the doors had dynamite in it. So he told him to go and get it.
Hmm.
And so Adam goes
Okay.
to the doors and he reaches out and he sees the black box and he grabs it. And the police are like, hey, you can't go back in there. Don't go back in. And he's like, I have to. My wife's in there. And so he goes back
Oh,
in. And
yeah.
it was technically they were boyfriend, girlfriend, but he said wife. So he returns to the hospital room with the black box. Richard opens it up, and everyone in the room can see what's inside, and it's dynamite. They're like, I can tell what this is. And he told
Yeah.
Margie to yell out the broken window to the police that he has dynamite and he's going to blow up the hospital. And so Margie said, after she yelled that outside, he has a bomb. He's going to blow up the hospital. He, she said that she could hear the police repeating it down the line just to everybody. And she was like, it's kind of
Wow.
eerie, you know?
Yeah. Oh
So,
my gosh.
so at this point, it's reached a whole different level of seriousness. He has
Mm-hmm.
enough dynamite to blow up the entire hospital.
Wow.
Yeah. So he shows everyone in the room in the bomb box he has is a baggie of nails. And he's like, this is in here. So when it explodes, it does more damage.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah. And so these hostages are like, they're I mean, I can only imagine the thoughts running through their head that like this is
The worst
like,
case scenario.
yeah, I'm just getting told how I'm gonna die, basically.
Yeah.
So the SWAT team entered the hospital and they started going room to room searching for any more people that need to be evacuated, as well as narrow down where the hostages are. Right.
Mm-hmm.
So they're like, while things are happening, other things are happening. So they're
Yeah, yeah.
they're
Right.
searching for other like people and trying to clear the area. Right.
Right.
So Richard Richard decides they're all moving somewhere else because he's like, nope, they're not going to find us. So Margie asked if she could bring her delivery instruments because, Kristen is
Mm-hmm.
about to give birth, and he's like, nope, can't do that. And so this mom, she's still in labor. She could have baby at any time. And
Mm-hmm.
so Margie's like, well, thinking that she hopes that whatever's attached to the bed she can use, right? So
Yeah.
like there's like the little leg stirrup thingies, and
Right.
yeah,
And
so
usually
she's
there's a
like
little pull-out drawer that has like a bin with
stuff
stuff.
in it. Yeah, so she's like, hopefully there's enough that I can use and figure it out.
Yeah.
So
Improvise.
they get out to the elevators and they push the button. And when they push the button, the smaller size elevator comes first, and it takes a while for the bigger size elevator to come. So they're trying to fit in the small elevator. So Susan and Adam and the two baby bassinets start going in the smaller one, but obviously they can't fit the labor bed into the little elevator. So
Yeah.
they start
Right.
pulling out the bed and the door starts closing. And Adam, Susan, and the two babies are in there. And they're like, in their head, they're like, we're going to be able to get away from this guy. But he puts his foot in the elevator door. I know, at the last second,
No.
and tells them to get out and get into the bigger one. So um, they put the labor bed as the bigger elevator comes. They put
Mm-hmm.
the delivery bed in there first, and then everyone piles in, but the baby bassinets don't fit. So he tells them just get the babies out of there. So they start carrying the babies and they all make it into the elevator. Okay, so they're in the
Okay.
elevator. They go up to the third floor. Um, I've totally ran past all my notes. So they get to the third floor, and that's where the doctor's offices are. So, like their practice offices, not like the delivery rooms.
Yeah.
It's like where they have exam rooms and then like their office. So he shoots a
Mm-hmm.
hole into one of the, how they have like the glass window on the sides of the door.
Mm-hmm.
Well, he shoots one
Right.
of them randomly and just tells Adam, the boyfriend, to stick his arm through the broken window and open the door. So he does because they're all locked, right? Because it's midnight. Um,
Yeah.
and he they realize that as they're trying to get into this office room, the delivery bed doesn't fit through the normal door, right? Because it's just a
Yeah.
regular door size. And so he has them lift Kristen out of the bed with a sheet and they have to drag her by the sheet into the waiting room of the doctor's
Are
office.
you kidding
She's
me?
in labor. She's like about to give birth. And
Was an
like,
epidural still in, right?
yeah, yeah, she has an epidural at least. That doesn't seem safe. Well, this whole experience seems very dangerous.
Yeah.
Okay, so they get her into the waiting room, right? And
Hmm.
Richard yells, "Where's Dr. Curtis's office?" And Margie tells him where it is. She's like, "It's over there." So he orders Margie, Adam, and Carrie to go to that office with him. And when they get there, he tells them to destroy all of his files and computers and everything in his office. So they destroy his like diplomas and his certificates and his patient files, and he starts shooting the computers and shooting the keyboard, and he's just like destroying everything. So SWAT was still trying to find Richard at this point, and they were able to keep track of his movements because he's moving around, right? So
Hmm.
once they're on the second floor, they get to Cindy's door, and Cindy on the other side of the door, she's freaking out because she thought it was Richard, and she's like, "I'm gonna die," like, like
Yeah.
she's freaking out. So when they open the door, she at first panics, but then she sees the SWAT thing on their jacket, and she's like relieved obviously, but then she kept saying, "Where's my baby?" Screaming,
Hmm.
"Where's my baby?" But they needed to her to be quiet because they would, or she'd give away their position, like where she's at or
Yeah.
where they're at.
Yeah.
And so the SWAT officer told her, "We need to evacuate you, we need to get you out of here." And she's like, "I'm still paralyzed basically from my epidural. I can't walk." So the
Yeah.
other, because it was a two pairs of the SWAT officers, right? Because
Yeah.
they're in teams of two and they're clear and stuff. And
Yeah.
so the other SWAT guy lifts her up and carries her.
Don't they have
And
wheelchairs though? That's kind of weird.
well, I mean, I'm sure they weren't going to go searching for a wheelchair.
Oh,
I don't know. Maybe it wasn't readily available. I'm not sure.
okay.
Um, well, and I don't think they were going to use elevators. I think they were going to use the stairs because they knew that
Ah,
he wasn't using the stairs.
okay.
So they carry her and they go towards the stairs. And as they pass the nursery, she grabs the door frame and she's like, "Wait, stop. I want to get my baby first." And they're like, "We got to go. We got to go." And she's like, "No, I'm getting my baby. I'm not letting us leave without my baby." And they had to lie to her and say, "We already got all the babies out. Don't worry," because they needed to keep it moving. And the SWAT officer in the 2020 episode, he was like, I wasn't sure if her baby was one of the babies that was held hostage. I didn't know if one of her babies was one of the ones that got out. So
Hmm.
I was like,
Yeah.
we just need to get her out of here and then we'll
Yeah.
figure it out.
Oh.
So they carried her out of the hospital. Okay. Um, so at this point, Kristen, she was ready to deliver. She's
Hmm.
on the floor of a waiting room, and she's on a sheet, like, you
Yeah.
know. And
Right.
because Richard kept yelling about how Dr. Curtis robbed him of a baby girl, Kristen was terrified that he was going to take her baby girl,
Oh,
because that's
yeah.
who, I mean, she was going to give birth to a baby girl, so she's like, he's going to take her from me. And
Hmm.
so Margie kept telling her that she'd be okay, they'd figure it out, she'd protect her any way that she could, and this baby was coming anyway, so they have to do it, they have to
Yeah.
deliver.
Yeah.
So Margie says in the 2020 episode, she's like, "I went into the bathroom at one point and I found a pencil that they used to label the urine samples, and she wrote on the bottom of a Kleenex box, she wrote, 'Dale, I love you,' to her husband."
Oh,
Oh, how sad is that? um so
that's
because
so
none of them
sad.
know what's going to
Yeah.
happen, this guy is losing his mind.
Yeah.
So Richard followed them to allowed them sorry Richard allowed them to move Kristen on the sheet into one of the exam rooms of the office, and they were allowed to close the door. They moved into that
Okay.
room, and Richard said that he wired the door shut with the bomb wires. So if they open it, it'll explode.
My gosh.
Yeah. So they're like, okay, everyone's in this little room and she's going to give birth, right?
Yeah.
Um, Margie didn't have the tools she usually would use during delivery, but with the help of Susan, the other nurse, they successfully delivered her baby girl.
Ooh,
Um,
wow.
but that made the hostage count go from 7 to 8.
Yeah.
They had now have another baby in the hostage situation.
Right. Right.
Okay, so now SWAT is approaching Jay's room. So Brian's mom.
Yeah.
And she thinks that it's the gunman as well. So
Mm-hmm.
she hides in the bathroom up against the wall, and the SWAT officers, they're like, they slowly come in, and then
Mm-hmm.
like she sees the gun pass her, and she's like, her heart drops, and then she sees the SWAT label,
Yeah.
and then
My
she's like,
gosh.
okay. So she begs them to let her go into the next room to get her baby because she believes that her baby's in the next room dead.
Oh,
Remember?
right. Right.
So she's like, I just want to get him. I just want to get his body and take him with me. And
Yeah.
they're like, sorry, we got to go. Like, we'll figure
Oh.
it out. We'll find your baby and we'll, whatever. So they push her out the door. As she comes out of the hospital, she sees all these other moms who are reunited with their babies. And
Mm-hmm.
she told the nurses by the ambulance that she isn't leaving without her baby, and that they told her baby Brian wasn't in the baby's removed from the hospital. So she knows her baby's
Oh,
still in the hospital, but
yeah.
she doesn't know that he's alive and that he's one of
Right.
the hostages.
Right.
So all she kept saying was that she wanted her baby and that he shot her baby and he just
Mm-hmm.
wanted to get his body out. And so when she got to the Cottonwood Hospital where they're sending all of these babies and moms and other patients, she just started watching the news
Yeah.
because she wants to know what's going on. So
Like
as they
stay as up to date as you could,
right.
or as she
So
could.
as they talked about the hostages, she felt certain that her baby was dead
Yeah.
and in the same room that she left or that he was left in. Um, and she said in the 2020 episode, she said, quote, if God needs him more than I do, then I would accept that.
Oh.
Oh,
Oh. My
it
heart.
makes me so sad.
Oh.
But a nurse told Cindy, Chelsea's mom, that she was able to get her baby out and that she's at the Cottonwood Hospital waiting for her. So she felt relieved, but she could hear Jay crying about her baby being dead. And she's like, it's almost like survivor guilt in a way where it's like my
Mm-hmm.
baby's okay and your baby's not. And so like
Yeah.
she, it's just a hard situation to be
Hard to be totally happy and
in.
relieved when you know something terrible might have happened or will happen.
Right. So the police negotiators attempted to reach out to Richard multiple times. Each time that they would talk to him, he would either, well, so each time they called, he would either not answer, or when he did answer, the conversation only lasted a couple minutes before he like had a meltdown and hung up.
Mm.
So Richard kept ordering Margie to call a bunch of random people. Like he had her call radio stations and tell them that they had the story wrong and that Dr. Curtis is at fault for what's happening. And like
My gosh.
he's being freaking weird. And
Yeah.
after a while, Richard starts to get calmer and gives everyone paper and pens. And he says, write to your families. And
My
they're like,
gosh.
how is my family going to get my letter?
Yeah.
And so he's like, I promise I will get them to your families. And so they're all just sitting there writing and sobbing to their families, like saying goodbye, right?
This is horrible.
I know. So the nurses are getting worried now that the babies are going to start to get fussy because they hadn't been fed for a while. Like it'd been
Hmm.
hours at this point. So all the babies had been quiet up to then because Richard had sprayed the entire office with ether
What's that?
and it basically sedated them. So ether is, hold on, let me, ether,
Like a gas?
it is a gas, but
Like a happy gas?
um, it's used as anesthetic and as a solvent for intermediate and industrial processes.
How
So,
would he know that?
but it's highly flammable. So his thoughts are his thoughts are that if he sprays this all over the room, that he's
Mm-hmm.
going to, or that the blast is going to be bigger when the bomb goes off.
I see.
So, but all this ether in the air, it's sedating the babies. Okay,
I
so
see.
they've been quiet this entire time.
Got it.
Um, so the SWAT team, they could smell the ether as they reached the third floor, and they weren't sure if they should approach because of the
Yeah.
ether. And so they waited in the stairway for their orders. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
So the negotiator, the main negotiator, his name was Don Bell. He called Richard and they let him know that, and he's like, hey, just so you know, that nurse that you shot, she died. And Richard was like going back and forth. He's like, I want to talk to Dr. Curtis. This is his fault. And then saying, oh, I want to talk to my wife, get my wife on the phone. But eventually his demand was to talk to his wife. So Don said, I'll work on finding her. So Don hadn't realized at this point that he had already seen Karen outside with the police and he'd walked past her many times. So
Mm.
she told him, so he went to go speak to her and is like, okay, give me an idea of what could have caused this. Like,
Yeah.
how's your marriage? What's going on? And she's like, our marriage hasn't been good. And I'm thinking about leaving him. So Don was worried that if Karen spoke to Richard, that if she said the wrong thing, he'd blow up the hospital
Mm-hmm.
because, like it, because they were in a good place and they were fighting all the time, that wouldn't be a healthy and
Mm.
positive way to get him to surrender.
Yeah. Yeah.
So, Margie, um, she's basically Richard's secretary at this point. Um, but she was talking to the negotiator and told Don that they needed supplies for the new mom that just gave birth and the baby. And um, she's like, and Richard's hungry. So the only way Richard would allow anything to come to the hospital or to come to them, they wouldn't
Mm-hmm.
let anyone come to the door because he's like, nope, you guys are gonna catch me. So he's like, the only way you can get supplies to us is if you get a helicopter over our place and then you drop the supplies down to the third level into our window that he shot out because he keeps shooting out
Wow.
windows. So he's like,
Yeah.
that's the only way you can get stuff to me. And they're like, yeah, we can't do that. Like, that's
Yeah.
not gonna work. And he's like, well, I hope you have a good quarterback with a good throwing arm then. Richard's just kind
What?
of an ass, I'm not gonna lie.
Yeah.
Um,
I
not only is he friggin' losing his mind, but he is not.
he's a like you said, a freaking asshole while he's
Yeah,
doing it. Like, I mean, it's not like he's gonna be pleasant and like friendly, but
I know, right?
like
But
what
like
the
his
hell? It's
comments,
like out
yeah,
of place, you
yeah.
know?
It's like he tried to make a joke or something, and he's just like,
Right.
I don't know. I think it's weird. So at this point, it's around 4 p.m. Okay, so they're gone like over what, 12 hours? I don't know. It's
I
been
don't
a long
know.
time.
Yeah.
Oh, no, 16.
Next was the night before, right?
Yeah, so 16 hours they've been at
Yeah.
this. So
Jeez.
Richard called his house and one of his sons answered and Margie said that she could hear this conversation and she's like, it's the saddest thing I've ever heard because he kept apologizing, telling him that he loves them and asked if they loved him and all this stuff. And
Whoa.
then he asked Margie if she's ready to walk out of there finally. And she's like, oh my gosh, he's going to let us go. So
Yeah.
she then goes and sits with him and says, okay, let's come up with a plan. She's like trying to be really calm. And she's like, let's come up with a new plan. And Richard says, my family's never going to forgive me. And she's like,
Mm-hmm.
no, they will. I promise they will. Like,
Yeah.
you're going to be okay. And so he came up with a plan. And he tells Margie, this is what you're going to do. We cut off my pinky finger and you give it to my wife because in Japanese culture, that's a symbol of asking for forgiveness.
That was the last thing I thought you were gonna
I
say.
know. I know. I was like, and Margie, I can only imagine her face like Why? So she tells him, I don't think I can do that. And he says, oh, hell, let's just get out of here. So,
Yeah.
yeah. So Margie calls Don the negotiator, but the freaking phone keeps ringing and ringing, and Don's not answering. He's the one who's supposed to officiate what's going on and how
Yeah.
they can get out of there. And on Don's end, the line went dead. So he had no idea that Margie was calling him. So he's searching for a place that he can talk to Richard. And the only way he can do it is with one of those like blowhorn microphone thingies.
Yeah. The
And
megaphones.
and so he needs to find a good place that if he does blow up the third floor, that because the explosive experts were like, oh, I don't think it'll blow up the whole hospital. I don't think maybe, but it would mostly be just the top floor and like out that side. And so he
Yeah.
was like trying to find a good safe place to like talk to him in case he did lose it and blow up, that Don and their team would be safe.
Yeah.
So
That makes sense.
as they're in the stairway, he sees one of the explosive experts has a brick cell phone, one of like the first kinds of cell phones. And he's
Yeah.
like,
Because this is 91, right?
yeah. So he's like, can I use that? And he's like, okay. So he calls the office. That the only number he can remember is the office that they're in, which is Lucky.
Yeah.
And he called the office, and Margie was like, I've been trying to reach you. He's ready to surrender and he wants to speak to his wife. And Don agreed and said he can only talk to his wife from a distance for 1 minute and let everyone go and then turn himself in. And Richard was like, okay, I'll do it.
Wow.
Okay. So the
Okay.
plan was that Richard was like allowed the 1 minute, and then
Yeah.
the SWAT team was going to come in and
Right.
like take him into custody. So Margie's still on the phone with Don, so as he's asking her about the location of everything, trying to get details of where everything's at. And he's like, where's the bomb? And she's like, it's back farther in the office. Where's the shotgun? Back farther in the office. Where's the handgun? And he's like, it's in Richard's hands. So he's like
Hmm.
just trying to figure out where everything's at.
Yeah.
So they agreed to let Richard hand his gun to his bishop through the door. Wayne Mills is his bishop.
Okay.
So Richard and Adam head to the doorway and they open it, and SWAT team grabs Adam and pulls him to safety. And Richard closes the door really fast and starts ranting about them lying to him and that they broke the deal and that he's going to blow up the hospital. Okay, so he's back.
Hold on a second. I'm so sorry. Was there a reenactment of this in a TV show?
Yes, they made a TV movie about this.
Feel like I've seen this because like it's like playing in my head and I'm like, this is so familiar.
It's probably been on Lifetime, the Lifetime
Okay.
channel. I bet.
So I'm trying to place on like it wasn't House, it wasn't Grey's Anatomy.
I mean,
It wasn't,
it could have been on Grey's Anatomy because my goodness.
I mean, they do everything.
Let me.
Um,
I don't know if I wrote down the made for TV movie. Made for TV movie is called "Deliver Them from Evil: The Taking of Alta View."
we should
Um,
watch it.
yeah, it's. Let's see.
How can you watch it? Like, what is it available on? Do you know? Since you're looking it
Uh,
up.
how can we watch it? Hold on. Let's see. I'm sorry this story is so flipping long.
It's nuts. I don't be sorry at all. You really brought it
I'm.
this episode,
Oh yeah. Okay.
putting my story to shame.
I think you can watch it on Roku. Do
Roku?
you have a Roku?
I do.
You might be able to search it. It got 2 out of 4 stars.
Oh, well, that's halfway there.
Definitely looks like a 90s Lifetime movie.
Okay.
So
But they should do a remake.
agreed. Agreed. Okay. So
Crazy.
if you want to watch the reenactment, maybe has some dramatization that's not real, you can watch Deliver Them from Evil, The Taking of Alta View.
I don't think I've seen that, but I just wonder if there's a show I've watched, like a medical drama
Probably
that
Grey's Anatomy.
has like taken this storyline, because
Yeah.
there's certain parts of it that I'm like, This sounds so familiar, but not. But
Yeah,
maybe I'm thinking of John Q. I don't know.
I don't know. Anyways, so
Anyway,
back to where we're at. So
yeah.
they don't let him talk to the bishop, and they grab Adam, one of the hostages, and pull him out, and he freaks out, right? So he's like, "You lied to me, blah blah blah." And Margie is on the phone with Don, the hostage negotiator person, and she's like, "You guys blew it. He thinks you're lying to them. You guys blew it. Why did you move in on us, you know?"
Yeah.
And Don's like, "I had no idea this was happening. Like, I'm so sorry. I don't know what's happening." It's because they weren't supposed to do that, right?
Yikes.
It
Yeah.
wasn't part of the plan.
There was
So
miscommunication somewhere.
yeah, so Richard starts barricading them back into the office. So he's like making it so they can't get to him. So
Yeah.
Richard starts losing it. And Susan, who's almost been like, since she watched Carla die, she's almost been like frozen and like shut down and comatose, right? So
Yeah.
um she finally gained some umph and started pleading and demanding that she's like, "Richard, we can do this. I'll walk out with you. We'll all walk out with you. We'll walk together arm in arm and we'll all go together." And
Yeah.
so after a little bit, like he starts to calm down and he's like, "Okay, I'm ready. Let's go." And then Richard, like his whole demeanor is just so defeated and like exhausted. Like
Hmm.
it's almost like he's just not in it. Like his heart's not
Yeah.
in his cause anymore. So Margie, she's like, "Okay, like I think his walls are down a little so I can talk to him." So she goes over to him and she like calmly was able to just remove the gun from his hands. Like he just let it go. So once she got it, then the SWAT team moved in immediately and subdued him and took him into custody.
Wow.
Yeah. Okay.
Wow. That's
Yeah.
crazy.
So
Okay.
I
Whew, I have
still
like
have
chills.
6 pages. So I'm
Yeah,
so
no, you're
sorry.
good.
I'll
You
try to
have me
hurry.
hooked, so don't worry. It's not like you're rambling on.
Okay. So the SWAT was able to move in on him, right? And then the survivors walked out of the hospital. And at this time, it was 6 p.m. So the entire siege had taken 18 hours.
My God.
Oh, scary and horrible. Explosive experts get into the hospital and look at the bomb Richard had set up. And he had it set in a way that all it would have taken for him to make the bomb go off was just a light switch. And
What?
so literally with how hot and cold
And
he
what if it was
was.
like automatic lights? Like I know
Yeah.
this is the 90s, so it's fine. Like it was different.
Yeah.
But like imagine like now, like you just
Like
walk into a
emotion.
room. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
So with how hot
Oh,
and cold he was though, like if like he could have blown up the hospital in just like a motion like that, like flipping a
oh
switch.
my gosh.
Crazy. So
That's nuts.
Jay, the mom who thought her baby had been murdered, was still
Right.
at Cottonwood Hospital.
Uh-huh.
She heard a knock at her door and a nurse walks in with baby Brian. He's
Ah,
alive and well, and
oh.
she's like ecstatic because her entire world fell apart, and then all of a sudden she's like
Ah.
reunited with this baby and like literally probably will never let him go, right?
Yeah, yeah, never. Like she would, oh my gosh, I just imagine the helicopter parent she
Like
probably
you
was.
can't go anywhere or
Like
be
from the
with
day
anyone
you
else.
were born.
Yeah, like I will never
You've
set
had me
my eyes off
worried
you.
sick.
Yeah.
Oh
Like,
gosh.
why'd you stop crying? Like, you freaking weird baby. Okay.
Right.
So, as the news
Oh.
reached his community of who was holding hostages at the hospital and killed a nurse, Richard's neighbors were shocked. And one of his neighbors told the Washington Post, quote, "He's a wonderful father and neighbor. This is the last thing I'd expect him to do."
Of
So, like,
course.
you know,
Of course they said that.
so we know
Gosh.
from the ranting and raving through the entire maternity ward that he was upset with Dr. Curtis and that he was going to kill him.
Yeah.
Um, and because he tied the tubes of his wife that he was not okay with, but that was 2 years ago. So, like, why did this come up all of a sudden? Right.
Yeah.
Well, it turns out he had actually threatened Dr. Curtis a couple times before this happened, but his threats were just that. They were just threats
Like, but
until,
death threats or like,
yeah,
I'm gonna beat you up,
death
you know?
threats, but like
Oh.
hadn't, I don't know.
I
Like,
wonder
I
how
guess
often doctors get that.
I don't know. I wonder, like,
Especially with doctors who like literally handle people's lives.
I'm sure the people who have like um the what are they called?
Still,
Malpractice suits or
oh yeah,
whatever
yeah,
probably get
yeah,
so many freaking calls.
yeah.
Okay. So they were just threats until his wife Karen told him that she wanted a divorce. And so that's what set him off. Okay.
Mm.
So Richard saw the control he had over his family slipping, so he took it out on the person he blamed, which was Dr. Curtis. Though his wife wanted this procedure done, he felt, as the husband, the man of the house, that what he said goes. Dr. Curtis should not have done anything if he didn't approve. So he was apparently,
Patriarchy.
yeah, ugh, yuck. So
Ugh.
he was apparently calling other doctors, like, okay, so right after it happened, right? Right after his wife's procedure. He was
Hmm.
apparently calling other doctors in the area, offering to trade landscaping work to reverse the operation. So he owned his own business as a landscaper, and which is how he knew how to handle dynamite because he would use it to like
Did
make,
Karen know about this?
yeah, because Karen, we'll talk about Karen later.
Okay.
Like Karen called other doctors. So Karen eventually called a doctor herself and said, yeah, I need to save my marriage. I want it reversed. And she actually had an appointment set up and everything
Mm.
before this
Oh
event
no.
took place. So Don Bell, who performed the negotiations, he said, quote, he was a major control freak. He will certainly be in control when it comes to a male female thing. He's very commanding, and you could tell that he liked it. He also mentioned that he noticed how quickly Richard's moods flipped. He went from like A to Z in a second.
Yeah,
Okay.
well, like, in hindsight now, like now that you've said that, looking back, it's like in every situation, he was like controlling the room,
Yeah.
like you do this, you do this,
You
you
go
do
here, you
this.
go get this. You call my wife, you talk to this guy, you say
Yeah.
this, you yell at the window. Yeah, he was like,
Yeah.
yeah. So
Mm. Ew.
kind of freaky. Okay.
Gross.
So um their neighbor across the street from them had told Salt Lake Tribune that Richard had told her that he felt his authority as the family patriarch had been overridden by his wife's decision to get her tubes tied. The neighbor
Right.
said that he had gone overboard and berserk since it happened, and their marriage had been a roller coaster ever since. Um, Richard and Karen had been high school sweethearts. They never dated anybody else. Richard served an LDS mission in Southeast Australia. He owned his own landscaping business where he'd like take his kids to work with him, let him ride on the tractor. So he like they had this like image, right? They were the
Hmm.
perfect family. Um, he was I know he seemed like a good dad. Like he cared about his kids a lot. He loved his kids.
Hmm.
But like his power being threatened set him off. And in the more
Yeah.
recent years, his oldest boys were like starting high school. And so they started getting more defiant and pushing
Hmm.
boundaries. So they started
Yeah.
getting into football as their activity. And Richard pulled them out of football because he got violent with the coaches because they took his boys off the front line. So like he's hot headed as shit. Like
Yeah.
he just
Did he ever
has
say if he was abusive or anything?
no, like there was
Mm.
not, no one ever said anything about abuse in any of the articles I read.
Mm.
He just seemed to have a temper.
Mm.
And it was more yelling than
Yeah.
anything. Like just,
Well, in control.
and quick to react. Like he would be quick to
Yeah.
get mad. And, that makes it for a contentious house, not necessarily abusive, but it could be, I guess, kind of emotionally where it's like
Yeah.
anything can set your dad off.
Yeah.
While Richard was waiting for his sentencing, because he got arrested and booked into Salt Lake County Jail, he was waiting for his sentencing. He actually attempted suicide a couple times. One of the times he stood on the desk of his jail cell, stiffened his body, and fell backwards. off the
Oh my
desk.
gosh.
He came out of that with just a gash. But on top of that, he was also telling other inmates in the jail that he was better than them and that he wasn't a criminal like them. And so he got beat up a bunch because he had a bad attitude. um, so
Dang.
Richard eventually blamed his wife, eventually his ex-wife, Karen, who
Yeah.
like that she was responsible for his actions. In a statement Richard made May 1992, he said, quote, on September 20th, 1991, Karen Worthington suggested to me that I kill myself and Dr. Curtis to get this over with. Or if you want, just blow up the whole damn hospital.
Yeah, right.
Right? Which David Roth, which is the husband of Carla Roth, Carla Roth
Yeah.
is the nurse that was killed, right?
Right.
So David began to believe that as well. At first, he was like, I don't blame her. Like, I hope she doesn't think that. But then eventually, when he starts hearing some things, he's like, hold on a second. So he files a civil case against Karen, saying that the wrongful death of his wife, that it was partially on Karen's fault, because I'll
Mm-hmm.
tell you why. In his case, sorry, his the documents that,
Argument.
yeah, it said, quote, Karen Worthington played a key role in furthering and it's exasperating her husband's warped anger toward Dr. Curtis and Alta View Hospital. She quite knowingly pushed him over the edge and literally handed him the means and the idea for his night of terror and murder at the hospital. Karen, in response, told Deseret News, quote, that's not true. I was a very loving, kind, and sweet wife. And then she said what Richard was saying is an absolute lie. And she
Mm-hmm.
said she never encouraged him to kill himself or anybody else. And she said, quote, Rick is just mad that I'm getting married. Yeah, Karen's
Oh,
getting married just 8 months after the siege took place.
well,
I
I
feel
mean,
like that's
listen,
quick, don't you
it's
think?
quick, but I've heard of people moving on a lot faster than that.
With 8 kids?
I don't know. I
I
mean,
don't
who
know.
was it with? Like, was it like with someone she was already seeing on the
I don't
side?
know. Nothing said that. It's
Mm,
possible.
interesting.
Because
Karen, if you're
she
listening,
was
give us
asking
a
for a
tea.
she was asking for a divorce. So she either could have met
Yeah.
this guy and not had any relationship, but it was like, you know what? There
And
are
then
better
this
guys out there.
happens, and then falling on his shoulder, and
Yeah. So like it could have been like
yeah.
he helped her through trauma, you know. Okay.
Then again, getting married, that
And
is
I
pretty
mean, they were
quick.
getting married in the temple that fast. I feel like that's,
Hmm. It's interesting.
I don't know. When you're a woman already married in the temple with somebody, there's a long process that takes you to be able to be separated from that man ceiling
Mm-hmm.
wise. And then you have to like make a case of why you should be able to be temple divorced. And
Yeah.
then to set a date for their new ceiling. So it's like, how quickly did this happen? But I mean, the
Yeah.
process could have been quick because he's now in prison. So it's like,
Yeah.
okay,
Like
well, like it,
easy to
they didn't have
tell
to like
why.
go through the paperwork and be like, oh yeah, they're
Yeah,
just like, okay,
exactly.
that Richard guy, yeah, he's
Yeah.
nuts. Okay, so it could go both ways where it's like a little suspicious, but
I
whatever.
mean,
Okay,
whatever. I mean, it
so
still though, still
he
she
did it.
had yeah, he did it. So like
Yeah,
even if she did have a side piece that she ended up marrying 8 months later, it still doesn't excuse what he did,
but
you
there
know.
are a little more suspicious things in here. Okay,
Okay, okay,
so
okay.
according to David Roth's brief in his civil case,
Oh,
it
right, right.
mentioned that Karen knew her husband was becoming increasingly violent in the weeks before the event at Alta View.
Hmm.
Sorry. He tried to commit suicide twice, like before the
Whoa.
situation, and threatened to kill himself and Karen 2 other times as well. So
Did she
also,
admit to that?
Yeah, so it was in her statement. So they're using
Oh,
this kind of like to say she knew he was in a bad place.
oh,
And
okay.
then she said, go and kill everybody then, like so
Okay.
kind of saying you pushed him over the edge type of thing.
Got it.
On top of that, apparently Karen took out a $700,000 life insurance policy on Richard and opened a secret bank account as well. Leading up to the event, Karen made secret transfers to her secret account from Richard's business account, adding up to a few $1,000s. It's a little sus, a little bit.
Not a good look, Karen.
The life insurance policies just look bad.
Yeah.
It just does.
I only ask Mitch to sign up for it if it's like employment time, you know,
Yeah.
like when they're asking, it's like, well, since
Yeah.
you asked.
Yeah. Well, yeah. It's like, might as well.
Right.
So,
Might as well go for the biggest one.
yeah. So, on the night of the hostage situation, Karen went to the neighbor's home to get Richard's guns. While she was there, she made a telephone transfer for $700 from Richard's business account to her secret account that night. Suspicious,
Yeah.
a little bit,
A lot of it.
a lot of it. And after she got her tubes tied, she told Richard that the procedure was a mistake and it never should have happened, even though she wanted it and fought for it, right?
Mhm.
So in the brief, it says, quote, by so doing, she deceived and misled him, deflecting his anger away from her and focused his hatred at Dr. Curtis. So she kind of like put it
Okay.
in his head that, oh, I didn't want this. This is a mistake.
Like this thing I was talked into.
Yeah. So
Mm,
because
that's
she didn't want to be the focus of his anger anymore. So I'm like, ugh, not. I mean, I get it in a way where it's like, well, it's not my fault. I didn't die. I didn't
I
go in
mean,
there.
because I'm sure she didn't expect him to escalate it to where he did, you
It's,
know, but maybe she
but
did. I don't know.
based on Karen's admission in her own depositions, she
Hmm.
did give Richard his guns and taunted him to kill Dr. Curtis and blow up the hospital and knew he would go through with it.
She admitted to all
In
that.
her depositions, according to the articles I've read. And despite her knowing of Richard's plans, Karen purposely delayed taking any action or making any telephone calls for 25 minutes after her husband left that night.
Oh, yeah, I remember that.
Yeah. So
Yep.
that specific civil case went to the U.S. District Court in Utah and then to the 10th Circuit Court of Appeals in Denver. Took about 3 years to settle that. And Allstate Insurance Company was um, Karen and Richard's insurance company. They ended up paying David Roth $97,000 for the
For
wrongful
what?
death of Carla.
Insurance.
Yeah, so apparently, so the Allstate insurance was like their homeowner's insurance. Okay.
Okay.
But because he made the bombs at the house,
Yeah.
they were able to, I think it's because the bombs were made at the house and that Karen didn't call 911 when he left to go to the hospital and she knew where he was going.
And so they're able
Somehow.
to take out a claim to help pay for his crimes.
No. Oh, well,
That's
well,
bullshit.
so the insurance company paid David Roth, the husband of Carla Roth, who died.
Yeah.
It seems weird, but it happened.
I
Took
can't believe
forever.
I mean I totally believe that happened, but I can't believe that happened.
I know.
You know?
I
Like
mean,
what the
if
hell?
you fight hard enough,
That's a I guess if you get a lawyer, they can find all kinds of loopholes. Like
I mean,
actually,
well, the phone was at the house and she didn't use it to call the police. I don't know. Oh, it just cut out. Can you hear me?
Oh, there we go. Now
Can
I
you hear
can
me
hear
now?
you.
What
Yes.
the heck is happening? Okay.
I don't know.
So, in March 1992, Richard entered a guilty plea to a reduced count of murder, 8 counts of aggravated kidnapping, and 1 count of aggravated burglary. In exchange for his guilty pleas, prosecutors agreed to drop capital murder charge, which eliminated the possibility of the death penalty.
Hmm.
um,
Okay.
March 26th, so just like 10 days later,
Mhm.
um, he was sentenced, or it was his sentencing hearing where hostages and victims asked Judge Timothy Hansen to impose a life sentence without the possibility of parole. And then members of Richard's family then described him as a loving and kind man, leader of the LDS Church and Boy Scouts, and asked for mercy.
Yuck.
Yeah, that doesn't make you a good person.
No.
Sorry.
And why defend him?
He killed a nurse and took
And
babies hostage.
traumatized so many people.
And a woman had to give birth on the floor because he was losing his mind.
Yeah, and they thought that a bomb was strapped to the door handle. Meanwhile, let's not
Right.
forget.
Yeah. And he literally had a legit bomb wired up. It was ready to go.
Oh, but he was so loving and a good member of the church, April. Don't you remember?
Oh, okay. So
Mm-hmm.
Judge Hansen described the hospital as a sanctuary and said, quote, unfortunately, Mr. Worthington invaded that sanctuary and made it a place of terror. That's inexcusable.
Mm-hmm.
Um, he then sentenced Richard Worthington to 35 years to life in prison. During Richard's statement to the court, he said, quote, 35 years, that's my life. I literally, hour upon hour, day upon day, sat in my cell and cried for Carla Roth. Do you believe in repentance and forgiveness? What do I need to do to you to make you understand that repentance doesn't make or doesn't take a lifetime sometimes?
This guy, the freaking nerve.
Right? Where
Why
do
I
you
oughta?
get off? I
Ooh,
know it made my blood boil when I read that. I was like, are you even kidding me?
it's my life.
Where's Carla's life? She
Yeah,
was 35 or 37 or something.
yeah.
Sorry, but
And
that's
all the lives you traumatized.
that's
And
the consequences of you freaking murdering somebody.
like, what did you think was gonna happen?
Why is he surprised?
Yeah,
He almost blew up a freaking hospital. The Salt Lake
sorry.
County Deputy Attorney was wanting him to go away for life. Prosecutors would at this time ask for 30 to 50 years minimum for the kidnappings and a life sentence for the murder, which
Yeah.
would mean he wouldn't be able to be considered for parole for 30 years. That's what they're asking for, right?
Okay.
So they didn't get it. They got
Mm-hmm.
35 years to life, but
Yeah.
they tried. Richard was causing issues at the Salt Lake County Jail, right? He's given all the people attitude because he's better than them, even though
That self-righteous attitude just
I
really
know.
makes my blood boil.
I
Like,
know.
I'm not a criminal. So, like, imagine being a criminal and hearing that. You're like, this twerp.
From another criminal. He's like, I'm better than you. I don't belong here in jail. I only killed somebody, but it doesn't count because I've
Yeah,
repented.
right.
Freaking
I've
idiot.
forgiven myself for this. Why haven't you?
Yeah. So when I've forgiven myself, you then have to forgive me also.
Right.
So he had to be transferred to the New Mexico system because he was causing problems in Salt Lake County Jail.
Okay.
So he had to be moved around to all four of New Mexico facilities because of continuous suicide attempts and escape attempts. He he was about to be transferred to another place and he fell from the top of a fence trying to escape and broke both of his legs. His attorney, Paul Gote, I believe his name is, was preparing to make an argument before the Utah Court of Appeals because he didn't believe he was competent to stand trial at the time. They were
Mm-hmm.
able to determine that he had bipolar disorder, which I mean, we can see from his mood swings throughout the
Yeah.
whole entire ordeal that he had something, he had
Right.
mental issues. Like, I mean,
Yeah.
it's not, I don't know.
Yeah.
Anyways, he had problems, but so that he was like, it's not surprising to me that he continues to attempt suicide because of
Yeah.
his really
Swings.
drastic swings, right? So
Right.
he was transferred finally to Nevada on October 26th, 1993. He had only been at the Ely State Prison since that Monday. He apparently tied shoestrings to holes in a speaker in his cell. Um, so like, the speaker head, and he
Yeah.
strings around the base of this speaker head.
Okay.
And then he tore his bed sheet and attached it to the shoestrings, and investigators believe he tied the sheet around his neck, jumped off the toilet in his cell, and successfully killed himself.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
1993, he was only in the prison system for 2 years.
Jeez Louise.
Okay, so we're almost done, kind of.
I
Um,
I feel like I forget to breathe.
I know,
You
I know.
know?
I'm like trying to get through it because it's been like almost 2 hours now.
Yeah.
Okay, so Dr. Curtis continued his practice and believes his experience made him a better doctor to his patients. Margie continued working as a nurse at Alta View for many years after the event. The SWAT officer that entered Cindy's room
Mm-hmm.
actually recognized her. They went to high school together. And a
What?
few years after the event happened, they saw each other at a car wash, and he was like, "Hey." And they hugged, and they're like, "Oh my gosh, it's been so long." He's like, "Alta View." And she's like, "What?" He's like, "I was a SWAT officer that was in your room." And she's like, "Are you serious?" And so,
What?
like, they just had
Get
a
out of
connection.
town.
Yeah. Isn't that amazing? So, David Roth, after his civil suit, he
Mm-hmm.
moved to Washington State, never remarried, moved to Washington with his 4 kids.
Oh, so sad.
Casey, Carla's daughter, said she regrets not waking up that morning when her mom was leaving for work to tell her goodbye. She never thought her
Mm,
mom wouldn't have come home from work that night.
of
Instead,
course not.
yeah, two officers came to their door, and she didn't believe what they heard. She really hoped that the officers just ID'd her mom incorrectly, and that she
Ugh,
wasn't the one who had been killed. She said, quote, "Never take for granted an opportunity to say goodbye to your loved ones. Send them off with a big old hug and kiss, and tell them you love them, because you never know what's going to happen."
that's so sad. Ugh,
So, Christmas time, tell your
yeah,
family you love them. But there's more,
there's
Jeannie.
more.
Do you remember on November 20th, we got a text from Josh, our brother? That was the day we had the pumpkin taste off. I know you weren't there, but we did get a
Okay.
text, and he was like, "Harriman's on lockdown,
Yeah.
shots fired in the neighborhood," right?
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Well, that event was an Army veteran in that
Mm-hmm.
Harriman neighborhood. His name was Alma Worthington.
Worthington.
He had 4 children. He was divorced, and he was the son of Richard and Karen Worthington.
Really?
Yeah. He was just 7 years old when his father took hostages at the Alta View Hospital, and 9 years old when his father passed away.
Wow. I mean, you sometimes in these stories, you kind of forget to think about
Like
the
the kid, yeah.
criminals' family, not
Mm-hmm.
just their wives, not just their parents, but their kids,
And I
and
don't
how
know if this
young.
had a lasting effect on him personally because he was so young.
I mean, just to grow up fatherless and to have
Yeah.
like that story tied to you and your family, like that's gotta mess with you somehow.
Yeah. But
Wow,
a
that is
little
so sad.
a little bit about Elma. In the standoff situation, he was an army veteran, right? Alma was suicidal and threatening his own life. His fellow guard members were there and trying to convince him to choose a different path, to do, like,
Mm-hmm.
come on, you don't need to do this, right?
Yeah.
As his neighbors were being evacuated from the intense situation, Alma fired shots from his home, and so that forced officers to shoot back at the veteran.
Mm-hmm.
According to his, and of course he passed away under um, by an officer shot.
Right.
According to his obituary, Alma served in the Utah Army National Guard since 2008. He served as a medic for his military unit and served with the 85th National Guard 115th Maintenance Company. Sorry, there's so many
Mm-hmm.
words to that. Alma was deployed to Afghanistan from January 2012 to January 2013, so a whole year.
Got it.
When he returned home, he studied at U of U for 11 months and became a paramedic for Gold Cross Ambulance. He eventually was admitted to the UVU physician assistant program.
Wow.
And so he's, going in this to be a doctor,
Yeah.
or in
Or
the
to be a
medical field at
PA.
least. Yeah.
Yeah.
His family described him as having a gift of making others feel seen and loved. His presence would lighten up a room, often lacking a filter, a volume button, or both. His spirited personality provided the perfect opportunity for others to come together while enjoying a loud, usually inappropriate, and engaging conversation, which I'm like, that is such a beautiful description of somebody. I love
Mm-hmm.
that.
Yeah.
Um, the family, in his obituary, it said the family would like to express our sincere thanks and appreciation for the thoughts, prayers, and support we have received during these events. We are grateful for the safety of the law enforcement officers and for their dedication to protecting the community. We would also like to thank the National Guard members and others who attempted to redirect Alma last Sunday night. We hope that despite our tragic loss, a greater emphasis can be made to support those who struggle with mental health. It breaks my heart because, like, the military members that
Mm-hmm.
fight for our freedoms, and you know like, they don't always get the emotional, mental, like, support that they need when they get home. And
Mm-hmm.
so, like, I don't know if that was the cause or if there was something else going on in his life, but it's not uncommon that the military members, when they come home, that they struggle with suicidal thoughts or PTSD, or
Yeah.
any of the above, really. um but I want to say really quick, if you know of a veteran who's struggling, treat them with patience and compassion, and don't forget about them after they come home. There are
Exactly.
resources to help them through either local VA programs, or sometimes there are private companies that do projects and programs for veterans. So you can call the Veterans Crisis Line at 1-800-273-8255 and then press 1, or text 838-255 to contact a VA responder. You can also donate money to the VA hospital to help support our struggling military officers. But really quick, I did actually drive past a little building on Main Street in American Fork, and
Mm-hmm.
it had a cool logo and it said Forge Forward Project. And me and Josh were like, what the hell is that? So I looked it
Yeah.
up and I was like, how perfect is this? Because it's a veteran owned and operated nonprofit dedicated to ending veteran suicide through the use of virtual reality technology.
What?
Yeah, this is their mission statement. It's really cool. So it says, we believe in forging powerful support communities in order to transform military veterans into something unbreakable. We hone every individual through innovative wilderness therapy, cutting edge virtual reality technology, and peer to peer community building. For those who have sacrificed to secure our rights to live, or to life, liberty, and pursuit of happiness, we provide counseling, rehabilitation, and a path to forge forward.
That's so cool.
Isn't that amazing? And we'll put like a post or something on our story after this airs. But
Yeah.
if you're interested or know someone who might be interested, it's called, or you can go to forgeforwardproject.org, and their HQ is in American Fork. So, anyway, that's my
That's pretty
story.
cool. Great research, man.
Thanks.
Like, I know you're probably just exhausted from just like blurting out information, but
I am so sweaty because I'm like, it was such an intense story, and I was like, this is gonna take forever. So I was like, buckle up. But yeah,
yeah, good one. That was nuts. And I've never heard of that. I
I
mean,
had
like,
never heard of it either.
yeah,
And
yeah,
so
I
when
never heard
Whitney
of it.
called me, she's like, "Did you know?" And I'm like, "How would I have known that? That's freaking nuts."
And you know, that story probably resurfaced because of the incident in Harriman
Yeah, so an article I
and his
found,
son.
I think it was KSL, they made the connection on one of their like news
Mm,
broadcasts. They're like, "Hey, this guy is actually the son of this guy." And that's how Whitney found
interesting.
out. And
Yeah.
I was like, "Whoa." And her dad is in the military, and I don't know if he served with him, but he did go to his funeral to
Oh,
support.
really?
Yeah, so I don't know. I think it's pretty special how cool how strong that like connection is between those in the military, that they just
That
like,
community.
yeah, it's like I think that's something people really need, and not everyone finds that, you know. But
Right.
you I mean, I think having their like community like that probably helps quite a few of them stay out of those thoughts and stay out of, or at
Yeah.
least helps them manage. But
Mm-hmm.
anyway, that's my story.
Wow, great job. That
Thanks.
was really good.
I'm
Like that's
sorry it
that's
was so
one that I'm
long.
gonna be thinking about for a while.
I know. I'm like so excited for people to listen to it, and like I hope they don't think I was insensitive in any way.
No. Mm-mm.
But anyways,
No, it's really good. And it's crazy that we were born there just
I
years
know.
after
93. Like, how nuts
94.
is that?
Yeah,
I
it's
wonder if mom knew
crazy.
that.
I don't know.
We should ask her.
Yeah, we should ask her.
And then if
Should
she's
we
like,
should we call
I
her real quick?
feel like I had no idea. It's 10. She's probably freaking dead
Oh,
asleep.
yeah, it's 10. Damn.
She's
That'd
snoring.
be fun to have like a phone in.
Yeah, we should have thought about
Uh,
that.
oh well. It's okay. Are you ready for my story?
Yeah, I'm I'm ready to
Okay.
like stop sweating.
To stop talking.
Yeah,
Just kidding.
I'm ready to stop talking.
Okay. Well, you definitely brought the stories today because mine's not going to nearly be as long. So it's just one of those episodes again. But we're talking about the Rio Grande Depot.
Rio Grande Depot. I don't even know where that is.
It's on 300 South Rio Grande Street in Salt Lake City, Utah.
Okay.
And it's an old former train station that's located on the western side of downtown Salt Lake City. And it's considered one of Salt Lake City's most iconic buildings. You know the Rio Grande building?
Rio Grande. Is that over by
You,
the gateway?
yeah,
Okay. Yeah.
yeah, that's what
Yeah.
we're talking about.
Okay. Okay.
So
I see the yellow lights in my mind.
yeah, yes,
Yeah.
yellow and it's like outlined in red.
Yeah.
Okay, cool.
We're on the same
Um,
page.
okay. It's known as the Denver and Rio Grande Western Depot, but also known as the Rio Grande Depot, also known as the Rio Grande Station, also known as the Rio Grande Depot Museum.
Also known as the Rio Grande bus, the Rio Grande building.
Rio
Also,
Grande Cafe, Rio Grande Sidewalk.
okay,
Anyway,
cool. It's a
so
station and a museum.
yeah, you got that.
Yeah.
So let's go back in time and talk about its history, just to get an idea of what the hell.
Okay.
So between 1900 and 1910, Salt Lake City had a population boom, and it went from about 53,000 people to over 92,000 people. So it nearly doubled.
Okay.
And at this time, there was a fierce competition in the railroad industry. And the competition was really to see who could build the biggest, the best, and most impressive train station, and who could like whose station could have the best services provided. Because
Okay.
people back then they were traveling usually long distances.
Yeah.
So like if they had a cafe, awesome. If they had a bank, great. If they had whatever,
I've always
laundry
wanted
services.
to go on a trip by train.
Yeah.
I
Wouldn't
think
that
it
be
would be
fun?
so freaking cool. You can do
That'd be
that
so
to
cool.
California, I think.
From here?
Yeah,
How?
I don't know.
What
Josh has
what
talked about
train?
Josh's grandma has talked about doing it, but I don't know what train. I just know
I
it
call
goes like
bullshit.
north
Oh, like through like
Washington and
Reno? Oh, Washington. Oh, goes north?
I'm
Huh.
gonna tell you, I don't know what train she's talking about.
Okay.
Maybe there isn't a train, and she's just like, I'm gonna go on the train.
Like, okay, grandma.
I'm gonna take the train. Okay.
Yeah. Anyway, so yeah, so around this time there was competition for who could have the best station, right?
Okay.
In 1906, a business called DNRG Tycoons decided that they wanted to take on that challenge here in Salt Lake City. So that's when the plans for the Denver and Rio Grande Depot was born.
Okay.
So the Rio Grande station was built in 1910, and the building was designed by Henry Schlack, who was a Chicago architect and was known mainly for designing churches. So
Mm,
just imagine a train station with a churchy vibe.
okay.
It
Oh,
cost
a
got it.
church train station. Got it.
Yeah. Anyway, it cost $750,000 to build, which is equivalent to about $2 million today.
Whoa. That's
Yeah.
like a temple train station.
Right? Although I bet temples are more than that.
You think?
Probably. I
I
bet just the
mean,
bricks are 2 million. Like they
yeah. I mean, they
like
do
lace
use
that in gold. Jeez.
have the
They
gold
have the
statue up
money.
at the top.
Right.
Seriously. All right.
So,
$2 million.
yeah, equivalent to $2 million today for this train station.
Okay.
So, the station had passengers.
Sorry.
Are you done?
Yes, I think so.
Okay. Cool. The station had passengers coming and going until the last train ran through the Rio Grande on May 29th of 1979.
Okay.
Because of the boom in car travel, there was really no longer a need for people to take a train from like Utah to Missouri, you know? So
I mean, I would.
I would now, yeah. But like back then, people were like, that's so 1920s. Like, get with it.
You don't have your own buggy? Are
Yeah.
you crazy?
So there wasn't enough business for it to stay open. Okay.
Okay. Yeah.
By May 29th of 1979, it was like kaput.
Yeah.
The Rio Grande Depot has been mentioned in countless stories over the decades, though. Stories of soldiers leaving for war and immigrants arriving to start a new life, families
Mm.
going on vacations, business trips, etc.
Did it compete with the Ogden train station? Or were
Yes, it
oh, okay.
did. I
Is that
think I
later?
put that in my notes somewhere, but I don't see it. So, yeah,
Oh,
I'll just tell you that now.
I have great questions.
Yeah, good question,
Okay.
April. That
Yeah.
was a great question. So relevant. um, it became an important part of history and is now listed on the National Register of Historic Places.
Oh, cool.
And it's the home to the Utah State Historical Society. And back when it was open to the public, they had the Rio Grande Cafe. Right now, there's the Rio Grande Plan, which is a movement to bring back the station or to bring the station back to life by moving the railway system underground. And so, the track system that we have right now,
Uh-huh.
they want to put it underground.
Make a subway.
Yeah. So they're working
Utah
on
doesn't need a subway.
plans. Well, it sounds like they're wanting it to be like for long distance travel.
Like from northern
Yeah.
Utah to St. George or something.
Yeah. I
I thought they were
assume.
gonna
Or like
do
here to
that, but I didn't.
Denver or here to Reno.
Oh, I didn't know it was gonna be a subway. I didn't know they were thinking of doing a
I don't know if
like
they
a
would make it
speed train.
yeah. I don't know if they would make it a subway like all the way through, but
No.
at least like where the station's at and like downtown area. You know how it's so annoying when you're trying to turn left and there's a damn train coming and you can't turn left?
Yes, there's a freaking train to get out of my stupid neighborhood.
Oh yeah, that train.
Yeah,
You know the train problems.
I know the train problems. It
So
stops us all the time.
imagine it being under the ground.
Except that track is used for both the tracks station or tracks trains as well
Mm-hmm.
as the
Right?
freight trains.
Hmm.
So that one's sticking around.
Maybe they can make a bridge for you guys to go over it.
Just out of my neighborhood. It's like
Yeah.
really steep.
You should like show up at the next city council meeting and be like, I have an idea.
Can we build a bridge over that?
Yeah.
And they're like, what purpose would that serve at all?
Like, what do you want to put underground? That's the other option. Or
or
just build a bridge.
or make the cars go underground. So they
Oh,
dig a
the
hole
train.
and the we go under the train tracks.
Yeah, like a dog going under a fence.
Yes.
Yeah.
Great
I like it.
analogy. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, I'll let them know.
Okay, let me know how that goes.
Okay, well.
Um, where was I?
I don't know.
Story.
They want to do a subway. They want
Oh
to
yeah.
put it under the ground.
So people who have worked there over the years claim that there is some paranormal activity.
I wouldn't
And
doubt it.
it's so common and it happens so often that they just expect it. And it's kind of like a warning to visitors being like, just so you know, it's haunted.
Wow.
So the most common claim amongst the employees is that they say they've seen or felt the presence of the purple lady. The purple lady is an apparition commonly
Yzma?
seen. Yzma. Well, now I can't not see that. The purple lady is an apparition commonly seen around the property, and she's described as wearing a deep violet colored dress. So no one knows the spirit's name, or at least not their real name. So she's taken on the nickname of the Purple Lady.
Okay.
Rumor has it that when she was alive, she was having an argument with her fiance at the train station and threw her ring onto the tracks. She saw the train coming and realized that once the train runs over her ring, she won't get it back. Like it's going to be damaged and gone forever. So she jumped in after it to retrieve it, and she was hit by the train.
Mm-hmm.
So the Purple Lady is often seen on the main level of the station and also seen outside the building as well. So even if you just visit the downtown area, just drive by, glance over because you might get a glimpse of the Purple Lady
In the windows?
just outside.
Really?
Mm-hmm.
I always feel like it's strange if that ghosts would be outside of the building that they're haunting. I feel like more
Yeah.
often they're inside.
Inside. Yeah.
Like it's like they can't pass the threshold of the building.
I see what you're saying. But
So I
also,
mean, I'm just saying
yeah,
it's weird to
yeah,
me to think of
yeah.
ghosts outside, but I mean, you think of other stories where there's ghosts in like forests and
Like
like
out in the
like
yard or whatever.
yeah, it just still
Yeah.
seems strange to me.
Yeah. I wonder if like we always talk about like what's the meaning behind that, you know? But I
Hmm.
do wonder like if there is ever a situation where a spirit couldn't go outside, you know, or
Yeah,
has
like
to stay outside,
yeah, they can't
can't
go
go
in
inside.
or one can't go
Yeah.
out.
Yeah.
It's just we'll
Hmm.
never know. I mean,
Never
that's
know.
just
But the purple lady, she's seen inside and outside.
okay.
I read a story about a cafe employee who went in early one morning to open the cafe, and she saw a woman sitting at a table near one of the windows. And before she could ask her how she got in or tell her to get out, she saw that the customer or the woman that was sitting there just smiled at her, and then she disappeared.
Hmm. My gosh.
Um, in
The
the Rio
smile.
Grande,
I don't know why.
yeah.
Like, was it
I mean,
sinister or like was it like genuine?
just by the what I read in what I read, it seemed like it was more pleasant. Like it
Oh,
wasn't like
okay. It
creepy,
wasn't
sinister.
freaky. Okay.
Yeah, but I do think it does depend. Like what did the rest of their face look like though?
Yeah.
You know?
Like, were their eyes saying something that their smile wasn't?
Right. That's when it's creepy as hell.
Right.
Oh, that gives me nightmares. Like that, the image of somebody smiling but not meaning it will keep me up at night.
Honestly, same. Like, it's the sinister smiles that like freak me the hell out. Like,
Yeah.
even in like drama movies or like any like
Yeah.
psychological thriller,
I will
those
not watch that new movie, Smile. I
I
will not.
haven't. I haven't
I
seen it.
won't. I will have nightmares for years,
It's because it's like
decades.
in a way it's like okay, someone's smiling at you, but it's not genuine. It's
Yeah,
like can you trust anybody's face? Can you trust what
right.
they say? Can you trust being around anyone? Can't.
Short answer, no.
No. Everyone is
Long
everyone has
answer, yes.
everyone has bad intentions. Just kidding.
Right. Okay, so the
Freaking
Rio
anyone
Grande
looks at me
Depot.
like that and I will run so fast. Okay,
Maybe
sorry, go
that'll be
ahead.
my next Halloween costume. Just the way I smile.
No. Could you
No.
do it though?
Um,
Could you do
I
that
don't even know what to do right now.
smiling but
I'd have
having
to
your
practice in the mirror.
but could you live with yourself?
I don't know. I don't know. You know what's the creepiest thing I've ever heard?
I love how I keep interrupting you. Okay, yeah.
No, you're good. But I just remember because I'm like, I got to practice in the mirror. Then I'm like, but I don't want to like stare at myself and smile for too long because I've heard that like if you are looking at yourself in the mirror and like focusing on your face for too long, you suddenly start to not recognize yourself. And it's because your brain starts to get bored of your face and then and it'll try to like make it look like it's not you.
Like yeah, same. Like I'm bored of my face, but that's freaking
Isn't
scary.
isn't that horrifying?
That
I
is
feel
a
like I
horrible thing.
avoid ever since I heard that I avoid mirrors like for too long. I'm like
I avoid mirrors for a completely different reason.
there are days where I'm like, Mitch, I haven't seen myself in the mirror yet today. Do I look okay? And he'll be like, I mean, you don't have makeup on. Are you okay with that? I'd be like, I mean, is it smeared
Like
or is
is
it
it
just not present?
right?
Anyway,
No.
uh
Mirrors and I me and mirrors are not friends.
mirrors and I. Okay. Wow, we're getting delirious. We gotta
I
finish
know I'm
this.
so tired. It's 10:30. It's past my bedtime.
We try to be done by 9 and we're an hour and a half past.
It's because my
Not
story freaking was forever long.
and because we started late because of me. So
We can blame
it's not
you.
you.
That's fine.
Okay. Hey, it was a joint effort. Teamwork.
Teamwork on just sabotaging our brains at this point.
Yeah, exactly. Okay. Let's get a quality episode out of this.
Okay. You might have to edit a lot, but that's okay. Hope you're
All
up
right.
for it.
Yeah. So the Rio Grande Depot, inside,
Hmm.
there's a loft balcony type thing.
Okay.
And up there is claims of an apparition being seen of a man, and he's usually seen just standing up there looking down at people that are visiting.
Okay.
Some people wonder if he is the spirit of the fiance of the purple lady.
That'd be a
Some other people
coincidence.
think, I know, it's like, did he die there though? Like, she died there. Why would, but then I think I did read that they think that he's there looking for her and she's there looking for her ring. So it's like,
Hmm.
but some other people think that the spirit of the man standing up on the loft could be um, a station master because of the way that he's dressed. Apparently, he's dressed kind of more fancy and like with a big like black coat cloak thing.
I feel like that would make more sense to me.
Yeah, that's what I think too.
Hmm. But
So there's
who
that. Yeah,
knows?
who knows? The bathrooms are one of the most active places in the Rio Grande. Some visitors claim to see an apparition of a dark haired female in the ladies' room. Some people only are able to describe her hair color.
The Grudge.
Yeah, that's exactly what I thought. But some people also say that it's the purple lady. So I don't know if people say like, oh yeah, she's wearing purple and her hair was dark brown, or if they saw one or the other or what. So
Hmm.
um let's see. Faucets have turned on by themselves and stall doors will slam shut when no one is around.
Yuck.
Which like when you're so okay, when you're in a vulnerable place doing a vulnerable thing and you know you're alone and then
Yes.
all of a sudden that happens like oh
What do? You pinch it off and you run.
yeah exactly
Pants at your ankles. Who cares?
right
Book it.
right could you imagine if like you just didn't hear that other person and you're like oh my gosh I thought I was alone you know and all of a sudden you see someone like bolted out without even flushing. You're like, what did I do?
Maybe that's like when you go into a bathroom and no one flushes the damn toilets. It's
That's what
because
happened.
that's what I mean.
They were spooked.
They were spooked and just ran away.
Yeah. I'm glad that we finally solved one of life's great mysteries.
Seriously, I don't
The
know how.
ghost poops.
Yeah, all the people who leave their
Or the
poops behind.
the unclaimed poops.
Oh no.
uh, okay. So
That's so funny.
I read a story where someone was in one of these stalls doing their business when they heard someone frantically knock on their stall door. When the knocking stopped, one of the faucets turned on by itself.
And they were alone for reals?
Yeah, yeah, they were really alone.
F
So,
that.
wouldn't that be so scary?
I'd be scared
Um,
to open the door.
Especially like a frantic knock, you know?
Yeah.
It's like, what? Like, what do you need?
Yeah,
And
what's
then
the
no.
emergency that can't wait until I'm done?
Right. And who are you anyway?
Yeah. And you don't see any feet. Oh,
Yeah,
that'd be freaking scary.
that would be really scary. Some people say that they've had paranormal experiences at the Rio Grande that weren't necessarily seeing an apparition. I read stories about security guards feeling like they were being watched, or visitors walking into strange cold spots when they get into a room. I read stories about the lights flickering on and off on their own, people feeling like they've been touched, and of course, objects being moved around on their own, being moved around on their own. Okay. Paranormal investigators who have visited the Rio Grande have captured orbs in their pictures, as well as captured EVPs. And someone on the Utah Haunted History page said they even captured what looked like a silhouette of someone. So I'm going to send you a picture of evidence that someone has gotten just so you can get a visual. Okay.
Okay. I think
So
orbs are
it's going to,
freaking scary.
Okay, I need you to open your Facebook Messenger.
That is the most terrifying thing in the world. Oh my gosh. That is so scary.
That's a real freaking picture, dude. Homie dog. That is a picture of an investigator, or it's not of an investigator, but it's a picture that an investigator took while at the Rio Grande. And you can see it's a whole full on silhouette, legless, black, no arms,
That is huge.
and covers the entire doorway. But I don't know if it's because like it's kind of close or if it really is like 8 feet tall. I don't
I
know.
don't know, but that I would immediately pass away if I saw this.
Could you imagine like being there, taking that picture and then looking at it and then looking up and being like, like realizing that that was
Oh,
there?
and that's not an orb that you can pass off as being like a bug. That's a freaking
No.
person shape,
Yeah.
giant person shape.
And it almost looks like it has a shadow or a reflection, you know?
Yeah, it does. Is that weird though? Don't you think it wouldn't?
I have no idea.
I don't know about ghost shadows.
I don't either.
Huh.
But when so this was posted by says it in the top corner, Christy Lee.
Mm.
She was the investigator who took the picture and posted it in the Utah Haunted History Facebook page. And when she posted it in the group, she wrote, quote, snapped some random photos of the Rio Grande on an investigation. The only edit I've made is my name at the top right corner. My friend who went with me was sitting on the bench to the left, end quote. So
Wow,
that's authentic.
that is
Um,
terrifying.
so I somehow skipped it in my notes, or maybe I put it in the wrong place.
I do that
Hold on.
often.
Yeah, because like sometimes I'm like copying and pasting, like or like to put things in different orders, and then I
Mhm.
realize I've like forgotten to actually paste it. Then I'm like, wait, that information's not there anymore. Okay, well, I deleted it for some strange reason. I must have like copied it and then forgot to paste it, like I said.
Yeah.
But um, I forgot to mention in the very beginning of the story is that so the last train rolled through in 1979, right?
Mhm.
The building remained open for like offices. That cafe was still open. They held like events and exhibits, things like that.
I was gonna say, didn't they do a dance for like in high school out
Or the
there?
Bingham Ball.
I thought they did the Bingham Ball there once.
I know that we did it when I went, it was at the state capitol, but they could have done it at
Wasn't that
the,
prom?
I don't, maybe, I don't remember. Or maybe I'm thinking of the masquerade
That was
ball.
a Bingham Ball.
Yeah,
And that's when we went with just girls.
that's right. I guess we have been there and I probably just at the time didn't realize it.
I'm pretty
Yeah,
sure that's where it was. We'll
that
see if we
was
can find the pictures.
okay. I have a vague memory of the inside, but I just remember it being just a big, like, open room.
I only remember the pictures from Arctic Circle afterwards. I don't remember if we took pictures. I know there's a
Yeah.
picture of you and Heather at the
Okay.
masquerade. We'll look.
Yeah, we'll look and we'll post it on our Patreon or maybe Instagram, maybe both. We'll see. Okay. What was I talking about? Mhm.
They held events there.
Oh yeah. So I was going to mention this at the beginning of the story, is that it has been closed to the public since 2020, since March of 2020 because of the 5 point, I think 7 magnitude earthquake that we had. I guess it did damage to the building and they had to
Oh,
shut it down to the public. So it's still, excuse me, it's still open as an office for the Utah Historical Society. but it's closed as far as like holding events and exhibits and things like that.
Oh my gosh. That freaking
Also,
earthquake.
before the earthquake happened, the entire basement was sealed off for public, like to the public and to most employees. Like it was pretty much on lockdown because they were holding historic artifacts down there.
Uh-huh.
Like they had, like I had a whole list of stuff. There was like baby carriages and like old like furniture and old clothing that had been like preserved, perfectly. So like
Mm-hmm.
all these items were kept in that basement, but since the earthquake, they had to move it. So
Mm.
I don't know exactly where it's at right now, but I did read that there is funding or there has been funding approved so that the state can have or can build a museum to then put all these things on display.
Okay.
So right now they're just being held somewhere just for safekeeping, but they're working on getting a museum ready to put that all up. So now that I've said all of that stuff, um, the basement is now empty. And sorry, let me scroll down. Now that the basement is empty, some paranormal investigators have been allowed to go down there to see if they can capture anything. And on the Utah Haunted History Facebook page, a commenter named Julie S said that she was down there one time, and when she went down there, all of the doors to all of the closets and side rooms were all locked. The only door that was unlocked was the bathroom that's down there, which she said the bathroom had a shower in it, which there were claims that the shower would turn on and off by itself.
Okay.
Um, sorry,
Oh, that
Philly.
scared me.
So did you hear that?
Yes.
Philly sneezed.
I was like, what the fuck is going on over
um, okay, so they were down there doing their investigation, right? And one of the doors unlocked by itself.
there? Oh, son of a bitch. That's terrifying. I went to gasp and I choked.
If that happened to you, would you dare go inside or would you just be
No.
like,
I feel
okay,
like now is my time to go.
yeah,
I'm
it's like
leaving.
it like whatever is down here with us wants us to do something. Like,
That's like an invitation to go in there, and like you don't know what the intention is.
yeah,
We talk about
exactly.
intention all the time, but like it's
Right.
just you don't know.
You just don't know.
And if you go in, that's you're inviting whatever that intention is onto yourself.
Like yeah, like you're like saying, okay, I'll do what you say. Like you
Yeah.
are in charge here, not me.
Yeah.
Yeah. Like you're giving it authority.
Yeah. Because you're doing what it says.
Yeah, you have to wear the pants. But anyway, so these investigators, they went inside this room and they walked in, they saw it was an empty closet, like a large walk-in closet, and it had empty shelves lining the walls, right?
Uh-huh.
They looked around and they realized that one of the shelves had a black cloth bag just sitting there. And they looked inside and they found human remains.
No, they did not.
They did.
And what did they
So
do?
they ran upstairs to the security guards that was like, babysitting them. And they said, this is just what happened. Like the door unlocked by itself. So we went in, sorry, but we went in and we saw this bag with human remains. And the security guard looked at it and he's like, oh, yeah, that's actually part of, how they had artifacts.
Uh-huh.
Well, apparently it was something that got left behind somehow because I guess there was construction happening in somewhere in downtown Salt Lake and those remains had been dug up. And so they took them there because that's where they thought that artifacts and things were stored. So they were holding on to them so that the so the remains were identified to be Native American. Let me just say that. They're
Okay.
identified to be Native American. And so they're being held in that basement until they were claimed by whichever tribe they believed it belonged to.
But they're just in a
So,
bag.
yeah, a black cloth bag.
Seems disrespectful.
Yeah, like why isn't there like put it in a Ziploc, or something.
Well, like
Like
I would
preserve it somehow. I don't
yeah,
know.
but I would
Don't
expect it
just
to
let
be
it,
like in a box, like a locked box or something.
yeah. But it makes you wonder too if like a new hire was like, oh yeah, we keep these in the basement. And someone's like,
Here's a
no, we
bag of
don't.
bones.
Yeah. Yeah, maybe. I have no idea what happened, but that's
That's
the
crazy.
story.
That would freak,
So
but that would freak me out. So do you think maybe
yeah,
it was like the spirit of that person
maybe
that
being like, get me
unlocked that
out of
door?
here.
It said,
Yeah.
"Excuse me, I'm sick of being in this closet. This is
Yeah.
not where I want to be."
Right. Maybe. Yeah. I wouldn't be surprised because why else would that door unlock by itself? You know?
Yeah. So the intention gave them a
Was
good story,
yeah,
but
exactly.
also got their bag of bones out of there.
Hmm.
Hopefully.
Hopefully. I really don't know what ended up happening, but yeah,
Hopefully
hopefully.
they're laid to rest somewhere.
Yeah, exactly. But over time, the security guards have kept a book with people's different experiences written down in it. They've passed this book down over the years to either keep the mystery alive or to give reassurance to anyone who has experienced anything that they can't explain. The end.
Do they have cameras?
I don't think so.
I feel
Maybe
like
they
they
do.
should,
They probably do. I don't know.
but they're like, we're not using them for ghosts, you idiot.
We're using them for like
Security.
break-ins.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Like,
exactly.
but I don't care. I want you to
Yeah.
look at the footage
Play it back
constantly
every morning.
every morning and check it. Check for ghosts.
They would find so much.
I bet. I bet they would.
I bet a lot of places who have like security cameras, I bet they capture so much shit that they don't even know. And they're not even checking because they're like, who would do that? What insane
Because they're
person?
like, who has the time?
And like that random receptionist is like, I have time.
Yeah,
I
they're like,
could
I haven't done anything for like 3 years at this place. Just
yeah.
I'll look at it, I'll look for ghosts, and then we
Yeah.
can use it as marketing for people to
On our
come here.
TikTok.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm telling you, it's ghosts sell.
So they should have at all historic buildings, they should have
Ghost
one
cams.
person assigned to that job
Hmm.
is to, and I don't know what they'd be called, but
The
they're assigned to check for evidence of ghosts, post about it on their social media, and host ghost tours.
Yep. April's
What
got the business
what is
plan.
it? What is it called? Concierge.
Yeah,
I
it's
think it's
probably
a
the
concierge.
concierge.
It's a ghost, a paranormal concierge. I
Hmm.
like it.
I
And I
like it.
think someone should hire us for that.
Yeah, that'd be so fun. And we'll just run your TikTok.
Yeah, so we'll every morning we'll get the footage for overnight when you
Hmm.
close to when you open,
Or a live stream.
and we'll
Ooh,
review it.
yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Hit us up.
Yeah. We are accepting applications for employment.
We're accepting offers.
Yeah.
Well, thanks everybody for listening to episode 34.
Yeah, it was a long one. Hope you stuck around.
Yep, this one comes out on December 11th.
Yep. And then the next one on Christmas.
Christmas. Mm-mm-mm. My story for the next one's going to be just wild.
I don't know what my
Wild.
next one is yet because I was like, it's Christmas, so I've been panicking about like not doing a really bad one.
Oh, mine is going to like blow your socks off, I think. I think you're going to be like, that happened and
I can't
it's
wait.
haunted. And I'm going to be like, girl, yes.
Dang, I can't wait.
Hmm. Yeah.
Dang,
Dang.
I can't wait. I'm
Okay,
tired.
so follow us on social media at Haunt and Cold Podcast. Visit our website, hauntedcold.com, to submit your own personal paranormal or true crime stories and purchase merch for the holidays. Um, January on Deck at Dusk is coming out on January 1st on Patreon.
Happy New Year's.
So happy New Year's. Yeah. Remember, each month we release these awesome bonus episodes, whether it be paranormal or true crime. We call it on deck at dusk. Also, if you sign up for Patreon, you get to see our video episodes, so you can see us talking right now if you're a Patreon member. Also, I want to say happy Hanukkah to our Jewish listeners, if there's any out
Yes.
there.
Yes.
It starts on the 18th and goes to the 26th. So
Sweet. Happy Hanukkah.
happy Hanukkah to you.
All right.
Okay.
Okay, bye.
Okay, bye.